Welcome, everyone, to the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect. My name is Jared Mello. Welcome, everyone, to the chat here. I am also the Shepherd of Black Sheep. I can't believe I almost forgot to say that. But today we're going to go over a new case that's been going on for a little bit here, but the verdict has not been reached yet. They're still in the trial phase, so I think it's going to be an interesting thing to go over. Bella, how are you? So for those of you who don't know, there is a doctor, Dr. Konig. He was accused of attempting to kill his wife in Hawaii, and he is a doctor. He's trying to claim that it was self-defense. And his son has said his son admitted to him over the phone that he did try to kill her. Now, the doctor, of course, is backtracking on that, but we're going to hear his testimony a little bit. We're going to hear a little bit of her testimony, a little bit of the son's testimony, and we're going to go over all of it. Maureen, welcome. Long time no see for Maureen. Glad to see you again. Dana, how are you? Mac, how are you? Miss Kim, how are you? It's looking that way, Bella, but I'm still going to let it all digest here. Probably, I mean, if I had to guess, right, he was probably telling his son the truth. Probably, right? That's what I would think. Hello there, Jackie. Welcome. Lucia, welcome. All of you, if you can remember to like the video on your way in, that would be great. Shadow the Night Owl really appreciates likes. He also appreciates people that subscribe to the channel. And he also appreciates super chats. It's also a great way to get questions answered. He also appreciates super stickers and people who become a channel member. If you're a channel member, you get access to the members-only live streams. Daily Watcher, how are you? Rooster, what's shaking over there, Rooster? Sounds like we got a rooster in the hen house. Is that what's going on here? But what else? Yes. Tonight I'm a little bit later because I was debating on whether to go over this or the Nancy Guthrie thing. But there wasn't much to go over. I mean, Brian Etten does have a new interview about it, but there's just not that much going on with it. So I decided we're not going to be able to talk about the Nancy Guthrie case forever. So let's see what we can do with this case here. Maureen, let's see what Maureen has to say. I've been waiting up to catch the Friday Live. Oh, that's right. Because that's right. I'm allowed to break doctor's rules on the weekends, LOL. Missed you all in live chat. Been catching up next day still. Awesome. If you comment on the main video, I would know you were watching. So that's good. We're happy to have you here, Maureen. That is correct, Bella. No new findings with Nancy. I mean, it could take a while at this point. I'm kind of surprised Brian Etten went back out there, but there he is. He's out there. So now that he's out there, he's going to try to do something, but he's not in charge of the investigation. Honey Pepper, how are you? Yes, Maureen was missed. The flock of black sheep really missed Maureen. Absolutely. So let's pop into this here. So this is Dr. Konig here. And we're going to go, this case is a little bit old now. People started talking about this 10 days ago or so. Again. But we'll see. We'll see what we learn and we'll see what happens and we'll digest it all and we'll break it down as we always do. It's interesting. And what makes this interesting also is this is the year of the doctor's murders or attempted murders, right? Whether it's Dr. The hell's his name? Not Tepe, but Michael McKee. Dr. Michael McKee killing or allegedly killing Spencer and Monique Tepe, right? But let's see.
I felt like a shove, and I was almost.
And again, this is Dr. Konig, the person who was accused of attempting to murder his wife.
was pushed over the edge.
After weeks of dramatic state witness testimony in the heat of a Hawaii courtroom, Maui Dr. Gerhard Konig is now speaking out on his own behalf.
Did you have a plan to kill your wife on the mountain that day?
No,
Did you try to throw her off a cliff?
no,
Did you try to stab her with syringes?
no,
When you hit her with the rock twice, why did you do it?
in self-defense.
Telling the jury that it was his wife, Ariel, who attacked him first, and her bloody injuries were caused by a sudden...
And what does that sound like? If you don't know any better, Darvo, deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender. I didn't try to kill my wife. I was acting in self-defense of her, from her. And what he's trying to say is she was cheating on him. That's also what he's trying to say. We'll see if that holds any weight.
Violent scuffle that started moments after the couple took a selfie during a birthday hike on this Oahu trail. Konig saying the two had been having problems because of Ariel's relationship with another man, but he still hoped they could work things out.
Did you plan this trip on Oahu to try and kill your wife?
No.
Were you trying to do something nice for her birthday?
Yes.
But prosecutors and Ariel say it was a deliberate, vengeful attack.
He takes a deep breath, and then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
Witnesses for the state included Gerhard's son from a previous marriage, who testified his father FaceTimed him immediately following the attack.
What did the defendant tell you during that call? That Ari, my stepmom, had been cheating on him and that he tried to kill her.
Dr. Konig growing emotional as he testified he was in severe distress during the call, contemplating suicide, and his son misunderstood what he was saying.
I don't know. It doesn't really pass the smell test to me, right? It's kind of like he's trying to get sympathy right now, backtracking. Oh, actually, I'm the victim here. I was contemplating ending my own life. But yeah, so he's trying to take back his quote unquote confession, and his son told on him.
He saved my life that day, but I put him in this position where he is now, where he thinks I tried to kill her.
The doctor hoping to convince the jury to believe his version of events.
You reacted to defend yourself in the heat of that moment. You said yes?
Yes.
But did you still feel bad about it?
Yes.
So, Steve, the case is now entering its final chapter. What's coming next?
Yeah, Laura, the judge is indicating to the jury that the case is entering its final hours. Konig will be cross-examined by prosecutors as court resumes today, likely followed by closing arguments before court goes dark on Friday. He estimates the jury is likely to have the case by sometime next week.
All right, we'll see what happens on cross.
Next week will be the verdict. Yeah, that's interesting. Now let's see what the wife has to say for herself. This is going to be brief as well.
Yes, I do.
A stoic Ariel Konig taking the stand tonight in her husband's attempted murder trial.
I'm screaming, and he's telling me, shut the up. Nobody's going to hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you.
Her testimony haunting, at times harrowing.
And I was screaming, and so he's covering my mouth and stuff. And then we have this moment of like, he seems like he takes a deep breath, and then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock.
Exactly 1 year ago, on her birthday, she says her own husband tried to push her off a cliff. She was on a hike in Oahu with her husband, Hawaii anesthesiologist Dr. Gerhard Konig, when she says his mood suddenly changed.
He's on top of me, and he had a syringe in his hand, and he says, hold still.
Ariel says she swatted the syringe away as a pair of hikers looked on in horror.
There's a man trying to kill her. She's blood all over her face.
Sarah Buck.
Crazy. So these witnesses saw this in action here, right? And she's probably still alive partially because of this.
Bomb placed that 911 call.
Can you describe seeing the defendant's eyes?
It's like a cold, emotionless stare.
Unfaithful, unwilling, and untrue.
His attorneys say Ariel was engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a man she worked with.
You described it to the detective simply as some flirty text messages with a coworker, correct?
That's what it was, sir.
They say she first attacked Konig.
She attacked him, pushed him, and they ended up in a scuffle on the ground. He never tried to throw off the cliff.
And Ariel Konig currently being pressed about the couple's relationship under cross-examination, something that could go on for at least another day. Tom?
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay.
So this is 5 hours of the actual crime there, or the actual freaking court case. So let's go back about 10 days, because I want to give everyone that's watching this the best update they can get, so they have all the information.
He's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done.
A scientist, her husband, and an alleged plot to kill her on her birthday. Also, there's a confession.
He had that Ari, my stepmom, had been cheating on him, and that he tried to kill her.
But there's a twist that you probably never saw coming.
Gerard, did you have a plan to kill your wife on the mountain that day?
No,
Did you try to throw her off a cliff?
no.
I go through all of it as Gerhard Konig takes the stand in his own defense. I'm Anjanette Levy, and this is Crime Fix. Gerhard Konig was a successful anesthesiologist. He and his wife Ariel, they had 2 children. The Konigs lived in Hawaii, in paradise. Ariel Konig was a nuclear scientist. These are 2 very smart, successful people, and both say that they believed they had a happy marriage. But one day in March of 2025, something went terribly wrong on a mountaintop in Oahu. Ariel says Gerhard tried to kill her, but Gerhard says that's not true and that he only hit his wife in the head with a rock in self-defense. But Gerhard is the one on trial for attempted murder. Both Ariel and Gerhard agree they were in counseling because Ariel had been secretly messaging with a colleague on WhatsApp.
Did you ever have sex with Jeffrey Miller?
No.
In these WhatsApp messages, did you ever send or receive sexual photos with Jeffrey Miller?
No.
Did you discuss sex at all in the messages?
No.
In these messages, did you flirt with Jeffrey Miller?
Yes, some of them are flirty in nature.
And when the defendant confronted you in December about these messages, how did you react?
I was apologetic. He was obviously hurt, and I was really committed to my marriage and my husband. And so we agreed to work through it and try to, kind of rebuild, because I had definitely broken his trust and could tell he was hurt.
There's a key part there. Let's see what her explanation is. I want to rewind it again.
Some of them are flirty in nature.
And when the defendant confronted you in December about these messages, how did you react?
I was apologetic. He was obviously hurt, and I was really committed to my marriage and my husband. And so we agreed to work through it and try to, kind of rebuild, because I had definitely broken his trust and could tell he was hurt.
So he found out about the flirty messages, and he was hurt, and she came clean about it. Now, of course, that's no excuse to be attempting to murder someone, right? But let's see.
As a couple, how did you and the defendant characterize these WhatsApp messages?
It felt like an affair to him, so we called it an emotional affair.
Did you say emotional affair?
Emotional affair is the word, yeah.
Now, this is what Ariel Konig told the jury about the attack on the mountain in March of 2025.
Can you tell us what you remember he said as he was on top of you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm screaming, and he's telling me, "Shut the up! Nobody's gonna hear."
Rooster with the dark jokes in the chat. He brings new meaning to rocking her world. So now I'll never be able to think about rocking her world without thinking of that. Thank you, Rooster.
Hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident, and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail, and I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop. And again, he's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done.
Did telling the defendant any of these things that you told him, did that get him to stop?
No, not really. And I had said, like, your mom just sent me a really beautiful text for my birthday. Like, your family will be upset if I die. He can't face our kids after this, you know. And he did seem at that point to, like, calm down a little bit. Like, it seemed like he took a deep breath and calmed down. And so I had this moment where I was like, okay, this is the break. Like, I can get out. And then he just starts hitting me with a rock.
Even Gerhardt's oldest son, Emil, testified for the prosecution. He is Gerhardt's son from his first marriage.
That he would not be making it back to Maui and to take good care of the younger kids, and that Ari, my stepmom, had been cheating on him, and that he tried to kill her.
Okay. That's a lot, but I'm going to break that down a little bit. You said the defendant told you he tried to kill Ariel. Is that right?
Correct.
Did he tell you what happened to Ariel?
He did not.
Did he tell you where she went?
No.
So it sounds like his dad just lost his mind over these flirty text messages, and then he jumps straight to, I guess I have to kill her? I mean, I don't know if there's other motives going on, financial at play, or just pure spite / revenge, but definitely excessive.
Did the defendant tell you why he tried to kill Ariel?
No.
During this 10:42 a.m. call, did the defendant tell you anything about what he planned to do next?
During that call, the next plan that he said was to jump off the cliff.
But Gerhardt has taken the stand to defend himself against the attempted murder charge, and he says he is in fact the victim. His testimony began with him telling the jury about how he met Ariel.
Again, before he even goes on, this just smells like Darvo to me. Deny, accuse, reverse victim and offender. Oh, actually, I'm the victim. Never mind the fact that I'd try to bash her head in with a rock and then try to syringe her with something, but I'm the victim. I don't know. Doesn't necessarily pass the smell test here. But let's see.
Okay, now, after separating from your first wife, did you at some point start dating again?
Yes.
And did you try out dating apps?
Yes.
How'd that go?
I used some free dating apps in the beginning and met some people and finally signed up for a paid app, eHarmony.
eHarmony.
Mm-hmm.
And after you signed up for eHarmony, is that how you met Ariel?
Yeah, she actually found me on there, and we connected on there and chatted on there for a little while. And I think we connected in February of 2016, and then we met in the bar at the end of March 2016.
Your first time you met her, first date-ish, what you want to call it, was at a bar.
Yes.
In Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then did you guys continue to see?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I should correct you. And after that, did you guys continue dating?
Yes.
Gerhardt then talked about how he and Ariel got married and had children.
I think you said you met in 2016?
Yes.
When did you and Ariel get married?
2018.
Between 2016 and 2018, where were you living?
We were both living in Pittsburgh in like kind of different suburbs of the city. She lived north of the city, close to where she worked, and I lived kind of to the west of the city. We were about an hour apart, but so we spent 1 week at my house with the kids when we had the kids, and then we'd spend 1 week at her townhouse up north.
And that was in Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh,
okay.
Yeah.
And you were working in the job you just described to us?
Yes.
Now, after your first divorce, you had 2 kids. Did you want to have more kids with?
I did.
With
Yeah.
Ari?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I had that in my profile on online dating, and
that you wanted to have more kids?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you and Miss Konig have kids together?
Yes, 2 kids.
Eventually, the couple decided to leave Pittsburgh and they made the move to Maui. Emil made the move with them, and so did Ariel's parents.
So I know this is a big question, but I'm going to ask you to kind of just maybe summarize. You know, you get here to Maui, March 2023. You know, you got these 2 young kids, your son's here, your in-laws are here. You got a job. You know, what was life like for you and your family from March 2023 until December 2024? Can you just summarize what it was like?
Yeah, it was amazing. The move was a little stressful at first getting here, but once we were here and settled in.
Yes, if you are happy, we are covering a new case besides the Nancy Guthrie case. Press that like button. Likes help me pay for Hootie snacks for Shadow the Night Owl. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And most importantly, say hello to the flock of black sheep in the live chat here. Great group of people, supportive, encouraging, welcoming, and eccentric. And I would have it no other way. So thank you very much also for all the support I've been getting out there as well. Wouldn't be here without you all.
It was our dream life. So we bought a house really close to the hospital so I could walk to work. It also meant that I could take all my call shifts from home. And whenever I was done at the day, I could be home in a few minutes. And it translated into me being home a lot more than I was in Pittsburgh at my previous job. And so that meant that I was spending a lot more time with the kids and with Ari and with Emil. I was doing a lot of home improvement projects. And then as a family, we were doing lots of exploring. Like every weekend we would explore Maui. We did a lot of beach activities. We went to the beach almost every weekend, snorkeling, surfing, paddleboarding, hiking.
Okay, so it was a good life.
Yeah, we made a bunch of friends through my work and through Olin's preschool, some of his friends and friends' parents, and we were getting settled in.
Yeah, and let me ask you, Ariel, when you testified, when the detective asked her about how the marriage was before December 2024, she said it was a good marriage. Do you agree with that?
I thought it was a great marriage. Yeah,
okay.
I totally agree.
Life was good, Gerhardt says, but then.
His tone kind of reminds me of Edward Norton's tone in Primal Fear, except the pre-bad guy, right? Not his alter ego that was more in charge and confident, but kind of like the, oh, gee, golly, gosh. But he's an anesthesiologist.
Gerhardt claims he saw some things in late 2024 that made him suspicious.
What happened?
The biggest, the only thing that I noticed was that she was constantly on her phone. She was just constantly on her phone.
Was that more so than usual?
Yeah, much more than usual. And she would hide the screen from me. So
what do you mean by that?
Like, if you're sitting next to somebody and they're on their phone, like, you can just notice that they're sitting in a way. They're constant. They're always just like moving their.
What if you walked into a room when she was on?
Yeah, when I walked in the room, she would turn the screen off or turn her phone upside down.
Did you ask her about it?
I did several times, and she would always say, "I'm talking to Gianna. I'm talking to Gianna," which is her best friend.
Gianna?
Gianna's her best friend.
Okay. So you did ask her about it a couple of times.
Yeah, more than a couple.
And you continue to see this concerning. Well, was this behavior concerning to you?
Yes.
And
I was just I was curious.
Okay.
I was concerned. You're right.
And did she?
And I wonder what the defense is working towards here, right? We're going to watch JD, A Lawyer Knows, after this. He does a very good breakdown. I like him too. We might go over some Lawyer Lee as well at a point. But what are they trying to work up to here? That she tried to attack him, and then that's why he was using self-defense? But I wonder what they're going to say her motive was for that. Why would she attack him? Doesn't really make sense to me why she would, but let's see.
She told you it was, don't worry, it was just Gianna.
Yeah, and she was like defensive about it.
Okay.
Gerhard Konig said his curiosity got the best of him. So a couple of days before Ariel and Gerhard were scheduled to go on a trip with...
Remember what they say, curiosity killed the cat, but the thrill of it all brought him back.
friends, he looked through Ariel's phone and found many WhatsApp messages with that colleague, Jeff Miller.
And then I saw them communicate kind of in real time, because I could see it pop up on my screen too. And, as soon as the conversation proceeded, kind of passed, she would kind of keep deleting the previous messages. So she was like, well, not deleting them in real time, but like throughout the day, she was deleting the previous messages.
And the content of the communications and what was being deleted, again, was it concerning?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same type of conversation that she was having with them on the previous 2 days, which is not a conversation you have with a coworker. This is a conversation you have with your spouse. I mean, this is
and after watching that all day long, what did you conclude? I mean, in terms of what was going on, did you believe?
I mean, she was having an affair.
Okay.
The Konigs went to counseling, and in March of 2025, they took a trip to Oahu for Ariel's birthday, which included a hike on a mountain. Before the hike, Gerhard Konig says he had signed documents increasing his life insurance payout.
Could we please publish the first page, Mr. Dirks? Okay. So let's look at this. Okay. So
increasing a life insurance payout. That's interesting.
Gerhard, at the top it says, please DocuSign. It has your name. It has the AAA life insurance. I guess that's AAA. Is that who you did?
Yes.
Is that who you got your life insurance from?
Yes.
And the date there is March 24th, 802. Is that right?
That's right.
And this was for the extra 500 you were adding on to the $1 million of life insurance you got for her a few weeks before, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you discuss this additional 500 that went through with Miss Konig, and that the email came in and you DocuSign? Did you tell her about that before the hike on March 24th, 2025?
I did, because we were in the parking lot after the coffee shop, and I was on my phone. I was like, oh, you know what? My, the last of my life insurance just went through. They're asking me to DocuSign it, and so I was doing that.
All right, we can take that down.
Just want to let her know that I'm not like just texting or something, like, because we were out together.
Okay, so you were telling her what it was that you were looking at.
You're nodding your head. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
And so from that point on, if something happened to you and in an accident or whatnot, she would get $1.5 million, correct?
That's correct.
Then on the hike, things took a turn.
That's interesting. The life insurance angle I didn't know, but that is interesting. I'm not saying it means one thing or the other yet, but it's an interesting thing to know and to take note of.
You're continuing on the hike. What happens at some point? Well, did something happen that led to an argument?
Yes.
Tell the jury what happened that led to an argument. Well, first of all, how far up into the hike was it?
Not very far, just like 5 minutes. Like after about 5 minutes of hiking, you get to a part where it flattens out a bit, and the edge isn't, like, the cliffside isn't open, but there's a couple of spots where you can get to the cliffside if you wanted to. So we're kind of still in that area, the same area that picture was taken.
Okay.
And Ari says, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something. I'm working on this project with Jeff Miller, and I'm going to need to travel with him again, and I need you to be okay with that. Is that okay?
Gerhardt said the argument ended and the hike continued, and they took a selfie.
Interesting. So he's saying that his wife came to him and said, I need to be on a business trip with Jeff Miller, the person that I guess he claims she was having an affair with. She denies it, perhaps. She said it was flirty messages. He thinks she's cheating. And so he's framing it as, she came to me and said, you need to be okay with me going on a business trip with this person.
Yeah, right after the selfie, I just remember kind of staying at the edge there and looking over the edge and just kind of still in thought about everything that had just happened and what's going on. And then I felt like a shove, and I was almost pushed over the edge.
Okay. You felt a shove. Okay. Who shoved you?
Harry did.
What did you do right after that?
So he's turned it into, it's a he said, she said now at this point, right?
Barely caught myself and turned around and looked at her and was like, what was that? Like,
Turn around and it was like, what, like, was like kind of in shock. Like, what was that?
yes.
Okay. And then did you move towards her?
Yeah, I did. I was like, just asking her, like, what was that? And started walking towards her. Because at this point, she was like 5 or 10 feet away from me.
So Gerhardt Konig told the jury that Ariel tried to shove him off the cliff.
Yes, eventually, yeah. Well,
And when, by the way, when you start walking towards her, is she saying anything?
not initially, but I turned around and I'm asking her, like, what the hell's, what the is happening? What's going on? And as I'm starting to walk towards her, she starts yelling.
She starts yelling.
Yeah, help me, help me.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I just keep walking to her, like, what are you doing?
Were you telling her, like, why are you screaming?
Yeah, what are you doing? And I get to her and I'm like, touching her, just putting my hands on her arms. And I was like, what are you doing? What's going on?
What happens then?
She keeps yelling and she kind of grabs my wrists and throws herself on the ground and pulls me down with her.
So now you guys are on the ground?
Yes.
Okay. When you're on the ground, what starts to happen?
She's holding on to me and I'm trying to figure out what's going on, but I'm also at this point trying to let go of, like, trying to get free because she's like actively holding on to me. Like she has her leg like wrapped around one of my legs and like is actively holding on to me and is yelling. And so I'm trying to, get free. And I get my one arm free and I try to use it to get my other arm free. And she grabs me by the testicles. And
okay. Let me stop you there. Did you ever, in the course of this whole thing you described so far, ever try to pull her towards, push her off, or drag her towards the cliff's edge?
No, not at all.
Gerhardt then tells the jury that Ariel attacked him as they scuffled on the ground.
And it happened all really fast.
Yeah.
But
That's I'm glad you raised that up. Was this like happening?
And again, what could put a hole in this story is that syringe. If there was a syringe, I don't know if they found this syringe. Did they not find the syringe, Bella?
Slowly, where you had
It
time
all
to...
happened within probably less than a minute, maybe
quickly,
slightly more than a minute, but 2 minutes or something.
But you weren't timing it.
From the moment that like we were on the ground and she was grabbing my testicles was like
it happened quickly.
Everything after the grabbing of the testicles happened very quickly.
Okay. And you weren't timing it or anything.
No.
This is just your estimate. Okay. So now she's holding on to you, she's squeezing your testicles, and you kind of dealing with that. And she's on the ground and you're kind of on top of her?
Yes.
Okay. And you said then you felt you got hit with the rock.
Yes.
Where'd you get hit?
On the left side of my face.
How many times?
She kept doing it. The first blow she landed really well, and after that I was able to block fairly well. She did like land a couple more, but not as bad as the first one.
So she still got your testicles?
Yeah, so she's like holding my testicle and just like hitting me like this.
And now do you stop dealing with your
I'm
testicles?
just
and your-
focused on the rock at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Did it hurt when you got hit with the rock?
you did.
Could we publish what's in evidence as Exhibit D30, Your Honor? Yes. Okay. Okay. Gerhard, is this where you got hit with the rock?
Yes.
Is that the area?
Yes.
We can take that down. Now, you get hit with the rock. Explain to the jury what happens next and why.
I was able to wrestle the rock out of her hand.
Does she still have your testicles?
Yes.
Still squeezing them?
Yes.
What
And
do you do?
I was able to so we're like, she's hitting me and I'm like blocking, and then I start and I get
Is
her
there a
wrist.
scuffle over the rock?
Yes.
Is it near her face?
Yes. I mean, it's
And then what
right.
happens?
So I'm going to read a little bit, though, to catch you all up on this. This is interesting. So there's a thread about this. Day 1, March 19th, 2026 of the court. Witnesses saw Dr. Gerhard Konig holding a rock and hitting his wife in the head with it. Dr. Konig and his wife were traveling for her birthday, which he had planned out. He tried to bash his wife in the head multiple times with a rock after she refused to stand at the edge of a cliff with him. Phone, syringe, and other items were never recovered. That could be a big part of the story there, the never recovering. Gerhard told his son that he tried to kill Ariel, but that she got away. Gerhard Konig said that his wife had been cheating on him for months. Opening statements for the defense. Konig is falsely accused and never confessed to his son on the phone. Ariel Konig was having an affair with a married man she worked with. Gerhard Konig wanted her to quit her job so she wouldn't be around him. Ariel hit Gerhard Konig with a rock, and he hit her back in retaliation. There was no premeditated plan, and there were no syringes. Of course, that's the defense. Eyewitness Amanda Morris was on a hike with her friend Sarah when she heard a woman screaming, "Help me." She saw a woman on her back and a man on top of her hitting her with a rock. The woman was covered in blood and had big gashes on her head. She did not see any syringes at the scene. Sarah Bushbaum, another eyewitness, heard a woman screaming for help and started running in the direction of the screams. Saw a man standing near the edge of the cliff and a woman crawling towards them. The man had a rock in his hand. Placed 911 call. Described the man as having a cold look in his eyes. Officer Alan Oku Jr., Honolulu Police Department, Homicide Enforcement, canvassed the area for a suspect and made diagrams of the hiking area. Did not find phone, wallet, purse, vials, or syringe. That's day 1. That's day 1. Day 2. Veronica DeMello, police evidence specialist, Honolulu Police Department, collected clothing from Dr. Konig, held up the items to show the jury in court. Photos shown to the jury showed Gerhard Konig with injuries to his face. Garrick Balagad, evidence specialist, Honolulu Police Department. The jury saw photos of Ariel Konig's injuries. Vance Lime, Hawaii Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Conservation and Resources Enforcement, searched the area, described the terrain along the trail, stopped the search around 4, planned to restart at 8. Interesting. Day 3. Dr. Konig, defendant's wife and alleged victim, shares 2 children with the defendant, ages 3 and 5. Went for a hike in March 2025 to celebrate her birthday. Gerhard planned it, and she had never been on the hike. They did not hike the entire trail. She was uncomfortable and didn't want to keep going. Gerhard wanted to take a selfie with the cliff in the background. She was uncomfortable. Gerhard grabbed her by the arm and began pushing her towards the cliff. They wound up struggling on the ground, and at one point she saw he had a syringe in his hand. Gerhard attacked her with a rock. conceded that she had been having an emotional affair with a coworker and that Gerhardt had found out about it, calling her a lying bitch and a whore. Moved money from the couple's joint account to a new one with only her name 4 days before, asking her doctor to add traumatic brain injury to the list of injuries she suffered. Dr. Whitney Carlton, acute care surgeon, she said on duty in March 2025 and part of the trauma team that treated Ariel Konig, no skull or face fracture. Her thumb was fractured. Katrina Comio used drone at the scene to look for the assault suspect, but did not find anyone. Kevin Chung, Honolulu Police Department, saw 3 women coming down the trail, Sarah, Amanda, and Ariel, took statements from Amanda and Sarah. One of the women, Ariel, had injuries to her head. The jury saw bloody photos of Ariel. Day 4. Kevin Shun, Honolulu Police Department, testified to body camera footage from the incident and described his arrival at the trail and actions while assessing the scene. Observed the alleged victim, Ariel Konig, appearing weak, out of breath, and disoriented, and noticed other hikers were assisting her. Collected details about the suspect and the environment as he worked to determine whether a crime had occurred. Brittany Kopp, evidence specialist, Honolulu Police Department, walked the jury through photos she took of the trail, which showed the layout of the scene, including the main trail, side trail, a hole in the bush, and a nearby cliff area. Identified multiple areas with what appeared to be blood-like stains on leaves, branches in the ground, documenting them with close-up images. Collected key evidence, including a rock, believed to be connected to the attack, a piece of clothing, and several swabs from the suspected bloodstains. During cross-examination, she acknowledged that the rock that she photographed, if I can speak, she acknowledged that the rock that she photographed may have been moved before she documented it. Interesting. Day 5. Interesting. Let's continue this.
And I finally get the rock.
What'd you do?
I hit her with the rock.
How many times do you think you hit her?
I hit her 2 times.
Okay. And when you did, was she still holding on to your testicles?
Yes.
At least initially?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you hit her? Why did you react that way?
Just on instinct to defend myself.
Okay. How fast was this all happening? Pretty fast?
Really fast.
Okay. In between when she hit you with the rock and in between the time she hit you with the rock and when you hit her with the rock, were you able to safely retreat and get away from her?
No.
Yeah. Why not?
She was holding on to me.
Including your testicles?
Yes.
Did you hit her in the face or the eye with the rock?
No.
Where you said 2 times, where did you hit her?
On the side of the head.
Gerhardt said he felt awful that Ariel was hurt despite his claim that she was the aggressor. He says he felt hopeless and that all was lost and he wanted to end it all. So he FaceTimed Emil, his oldest son. This is how Gerhardt explained that call.
Where were you?
And this is, to me, I'm not sure what the motive would be for his son to lie about this call, but let's see what his assessment of the call is. His son said he confessed to him in the call, "I tried to kill her." But let's see what he says about it. Also, please remember to like the video while you're here. Likes are free. Leave your DNA on the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already.
When you did this FaceTime call?
It was in a spot where the trail wasn't right next to the cliff edge, because the cliff edge at that point wasn't really an edge. It was like a 10-foot kind of sloped part, and then the edge. And so I was basically between the cliff edge and the trail, kind of hanging on to the side of the mountain.
Was it a pretty kind of steepish area?
Yeah, very steep.
And were you kind of like on the side of the mountain?
Mhm.
So you gotta.
Yes, sorry.
Okay. And so just to be clear, the place you FaceTimed him from, was that the place that the incident took place?
No.
Okay. On the FaceTime, would it have looked like you were on kind of the edge of a mountain?
Yes.
Were you on a speakerphone?
Yes.
I mean, like holding it where he could see your face?
Yes.
No.
And I showed him the view and where I was. Like,
there was testimony from police officers that it was a windy day and notoriously windy area. Do you recall it being pretty windy that day?
it was windy, yeah, up there.
So you're on the side of a cliff, mountain. You have them on speaker on FaceTime. It's windy. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. You were extremely emotional at that time?
Yes.
Okay. So that's the context of this phone call, correct?
Yes.
Did you tell him?
So that's the FaceTime they're talking about. Bethany, thank you so much for the super chat. Hit the like button, family. Black Sheep Nation, we need you to hit the like button, please. Shadow the Night Owl has made a request. He said to me, Jared, Black Sheep Nation needs to make sure they like the like button, especially since we're going over a case that's not named Nancy Guthrie today. So Shadow is a little concerned about what the views might look like tonight. So likes need to be made up for. Thank you.
That Ariel you were calling him to say goodbye. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Was your purpose to explain to him every last detail of what happened?
No.
Okay. Were you confessing to him that you were trying to kill Ari that day?
No.
Okay. Did you have an intention to kill Ari that day?
No.
Okay. Would you have said it that way? I tried to kill Ari that day.
No.
Okay. But you don't dispute that the word kill probably came up.
No.
Okay. And can you understand how Emil in that conversation could have got that impression?
That's a good question there. But before we get into that, Anne Marie Canada, thank you for gifting the Wizard of Radical Self-Respect membership. So the Lords of YouTube Random will give this out. We'll see who they give it out to. And whoever gets it will now have access to the members-only live streams. Right on. So thank you to Anne. Black Sheep Nation, please thank Anne. Thank you, Anne. So the question he just asked is, why would your son think you were confessing? Let's see what he says.
Yes.
And this is how Gerhardt's direct examination ended.
Gerhard, did you have a plan to kill your wife on the mountain that day?
No.
Did you try to throw her off a cliff?
No.
Did you try to stab her with syringes?
No.
When you hit her with the rock twice, why did you do it?
In self-defense.
Then it was the prosecution's turn to test Gerhardt Konig's story. The state claims Gerhardt was controlling when it came to Ariel.
Dr. Konig, Ariel's children were 4 years old and 18 months old at the time that you wanted her to move out. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
No mother would want to move out of the house with their kids that age, would they?
I wouldn't think so.
But that's what you wanted, right?
I wanted her to move out of the house for us to deal with the affair, and I didn't want her to move out of the house and harm her children. I wanted both.
Now, another thing that you wanted is you wanted Ariel to quit her job, right?
That's right.
And this is the remote worker job that she was able to find on Maui, correct?
Yes.
There are no nuclear power plants on Maui, right?
That's correct.
So if Ariel wanted to stay in her career and advance her career, she had to work remotely, right?
That's correct.
If you were to stay on that, right?
Yes.
And once Ariel quit her job, as was your plan, she would have been 100% dependent on you and your salary, correct?
She would be dependent on our assets, which were all shared. We had a shared savings account. We had a home that was shared. We had vehicles that were shared. We had food in the house that's shared. I mean, we had a lot of things in the house, and they were all shared. My we would lose her income as a family for a short period of time. She has a very good resume. She would be able to get a job, probably within a few months. But if it took a few months, we were prepared for that.
When Ariel quit her job, as was your plan, you would be the only breadwinner, correct?
I would have the only one with a paycheck coming in while she didn't have a job. That is correct.
She would be dependent on you and your goodwill to keep a roof over her kids' heads, right?
No.
She would be dependent on you and your paycheck to keep her kids fed, right?
No.
You wanted Ariel to give up her career, correct?
No.
You wanted to make sure Ariel never had contact with Jeffrey Miller again, right?
That was my strong preference, for her to not have contact with Mr. Miller ever again.
And in order to do that, you wanted access to Ariel's phone at all times. Is that
That is
right?
absolutely not correct.
You actually had Ariel's phone in December 2024, isn't that right?
I wouldn't say that. Like, her phone, it's at many points.
So apparently part of the case here is that she has said he was in charge of her phone or had her phone, maybe under the pretense of making sure that she wasn't talking to Jeffrey Miller, perhaps. But let's see how he answers this.
Time I had her phone in my hand. I would not characterize it the way you just did.
And you monitored her communications in December 2024 after you confronted her, isn't that right?
I, on several occasions, asked to see who she was communicating with, and she would show me. And the only time that I monitored her communications was for 48 hours when I was watching the WhatsApp messages. And most of those I was watching on my computer, not on her phone.
So today you're saying you were only monitoring her communications a little bit, right?
I don't know what you mean by a little bit. I just described to you how I was monitoring her communications.
Yesterday you testified about what you thought Ariel needed to do. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
You testified that she needed to, quote, proactively give up privacy, correct?
Yes.
And you also said that she needed to be okay with giving up her privacy. Is that right?
That's right.
That's what you wanted, right?
That's what I wanted.
She didn't end up doing that, did she?
No.
And the prosecution claims Ariel may not have known about the hike prior to the birthday trip.
Okay. On March 24, 2025, you and Ariel were on Oahu, correct?
Yes.
And you came to Oahu because it was Ariel's birthday weekend. Is that right?
That's right.
And Ariel's birthday is actually March 24th, correct?
Yes.
You bought the airline tickets for the trip, correct?
Yes.
And of course, you bought round trip tickets, right?
Yes.
So you were scheduled to go back to Maui on March 25th, 2025, correct?
Yes.
You booked the hotel for the weekend trip, correct?
I did.
You sent spa information to Ariel before the trip, right?
Yes.
And then you booked the spa, correct?
Yes.
You did not send Ariel electronically any information about the Polipuka hike, isn't that correct?
I don't think I did.
The prosecutor also questioned Konig's testimony about how he felt when he discovered Ariel was talking with Jeff Miller on WhatsApp.
So after you tell your best friend and Ariel's best friend about this, that's when you actually confront Ariel, correct?
That's correct.
And you're upset, right?
That's not the primary feeling at the time. I was feeling a lot of other feelings, but I was also upset.
You were mad, right?
I was not mad.
You were not mad when you confronted your wife about these messages.
I was upset.
The prosecutor then got to the day of the hike, which Gerhardt admits was his idea on Ariel's birthday.
But Ariel didn't go that far on the trail that day, did she?
No.
Because Ariel didn't want to hike anymore, right?
Yeah, there came a point in time where Ariel did not want to hike anymore.
Ariel deviated from your plan to go up this part of the trail, right?
I wouldn't characterize it like that.
Well, you planned to go up this part of the trail, correct?
That's correct.
And Ariel didn't follow through with that part of the plan, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, you actually continue up the trail yourself, right?
That's right.
Without Ariel.
That's right.
On her birthday.
That's right.
But she didn't follow you, correct?
No.
She didn't follow you up to this narrow trail with this massive cliff, correct?
That's correct.
And the prosecutor grilled Gerhardt about his claims that Ariel attacked him.
You're bigger than Ariel, right?
Yes.
You have at least, or at the time of the offense, or at the time of the incident, you had at least 20 pounds on her, right?
Yeah, roughly 20 pounds.
You're stronger than her, right?
Probably.
You're a doctor, so you know that men generally are stronger than women, correct?
Yes.
It's just a scientific matter of testosterone, right?
That's true.
But you testify that Ariel managed to pull you to the ground and she pulled you on top of her, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Then you testified that Ariel wouldn't let you go from on top of her, right?
That's correct.
You testified that she wrapped her legs around you, right?
She wrapped at least one leg around me, yes.
Yesterday you said legs, right?
I think I said leg. It was at least one.
And you testified that she grabbed your testicles, right?
She did.
And that she wouldn't let go, right?
That's right.
All this time, you were on top of her, right?
That's correct.
And then you testified that Ariel took that rock. I'm going to grab Exhibit 2 right now. You testified that Ariel took this rock and hit you in the face. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And you said the first hit, she got me kind of good, right?
That's right.
And you said she kept trying, right?
That's right.
And you testified you tried to start blocking it, right?
Yes.
And you testified she actually got a couple more hits in, right?
Yes.
So, but you don't know how many hits, right?
No.
One good hit to the side of your face, correct?
That's right.
The prosecutor then asked Gerhardt Konig about his alleged sexual demands.
Just to clarify one more time, you testified this morning that you were not sexually demanding towards Ariel. Is that correct?
I think the question was if I ever demanded sex of Ari, and I've never demanded sex of Ari.
So you say you never demanded it, right?
That's right.
How often did you want to have sex with Ariel?
There was no specific number of times.
It was up to every other day, right?
Was what up to every other day?
You wanted to have sex with Ariel and of an amount up to every other day. Isn't that correct?
At some points in our relationship, we had sex, I'm sure, every other day for, that period of time. But there was never a point in our relationship where what's the question?
So in December 2024,
okay,
after you confronted Ariel about this relationship, you
yes,
still wanted to have sex with her every other day.
That is not true.
Gerhardt Konig said he and Ariel, they never had sex again after December of 2024. The jury could begin deliberations after the long Easter weekend. And that's it for this episode of Crime.
Interesting. So what do you think so far, chat? Now we're going to go to this other guy that I like. JD, a lawyer knows. Or a lawyer explains, excuse me. Like the video while you're here, though. Spank that like button. Leave your DNA in the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And remember, super chats are a great way to get questions answered and to support the channel. Super stickers, great way to support the channel. And either gifting memberships or becoming a channel member gives you access to the members-only live streams. Shadow likes those too.
After watching the cross-examination you'll see a little bit of today, you may wonder if the defense attorney representing the doctor...
This guy's channel's name is JD, a lawyer explains. I like him. He explains things pretty clearly and succinctly. So I think it's helpful.
In the Konig case went to the same law school as Thelma and Louise. I'll have more in just a minute. Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney, retired. This is a trial channel. No legal advice is given, and everything that I say pretty much is my opinion unless stated otherwise. This is Hawaii versus Gerhard Konig, MD. According to prosecutors, this was a calculated and escalating attack, starting with an attempt to push her off a cliff, followed by a syringe and a vial, and ending with a brutal assault using a rock. 2 eyewitnesses say they saw the defendant on top of his wife, striking her as she cried out for help. But the defense tells a completely different story. They argue this was not an attempted murder, but a chaotic, emotional confrontation fueled by infidelity and a physical altercation that spiraled out of control. Their theme: unfaithful, unwilling, untrue. In order to set some context, I'm going to play some of the direct examination that deals with the cliffside attack. And from that, we'll go to the cross-examination where the defense attorney goes a little too zealous here, I think, but you're going to have to tell me. Let's get started.
While the defendant was grabbing you and pushing you, what did you do?
I was surprised. It felt almost like he was kidding at first. And I was like, what are you doing? But he had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on.
As you threw yourself to the ground, how did the defendant respond?
Well, he got on top of me and he was kind of trying to pull me, and we're wrestling, and he ended up straddling me. So he had his legs on either side, kind of across my waist.
On March 24, 2025, how tall were you?
About 5'6".
And how much did you weigh on that day?
About 145 pounds.
Okay. And on that date, how tall was the defendant?
About 5'10".
And how much did he weigh?
Maybe 165 pounds.
Okay. And then you said straddling. Can you describe what that looked like for us?
Sure. I'm laying on my back, and he's on top of me with kind of like one leg on either side across my waist, facing me.
Once the defendant was on top of you, what did he do next?
So he was first trying to pull me, trying to get me closer to the cliff. And again, I could kind of hold on to the roots and stuff that were around us. And then he had a backpack that he was hiking with. And he, like I said, he's on top of me. And he had a syringe in his hand. And he says, hold still. And I see the syringe, and I just kind of like bat it away from us both.
When you first saw that syringe in his hand, did you actually see where it came from?
I didn't see where it came from, no.
All right. And you said you were able to bat it. Do you know where it went?
It just fell on the ground sort of near us. It would have been to my left because I could still kind of see it in my periphery. So I was trying to make sure it wasn't going to get grabbed again.
And then could you describe what you remember about the syringe, what it looked like?
Sure. It was a clear syringe with a blue piece, maybe blue plunger, I guess is what that's called.
Once you were able to bat the syringe away onto the ground, what did the defendant do next?
So he had taken his backpack off, and it was on the ground to his left, so kind of to the right side of my body here. And he was digging in that with his left hand, and then kind of holding me down with his right hand. And I'm screaming, and I'm saying, "What are you doing? Get off me." And he's saying like, you're done. I'm so sick of you. I'm so done with you. And I'm trying to kind of protect myself and get out of there. But also he's gripping his hand closed really hard. And there's a vial in his hand. So I was trying to pry his hand open so I could grab that vial out.
Which hand did you see the vial in?
The vial was in his right hand.
And did you actually get to see the entire vial?
No.
Okay. What part of it did you see?
I mean, I can see pieces of it because I'm trying to like pry his fingers off of it so that I can grab it and throw it.
Were you able to open his hand that was holding the vial?
Not enough to get the vial away.
All right, you mentioned the defendant was saying some things. Can you tell us what you remember he said as he was on top of you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm screaming and he's telling me, shut up. Nobody's going to hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail and I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop. And again, he's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done.
In an attempted murder case, obviously the defendant's intent is one of the key things that you absolutely have to prove if you're the state. And normally we have to look at circumstantial evidence to discern the defendant's state of mind. But we don't have to here, because here it's very plainly stated, I'm sick of you. I want to get rid of you. We don't need you anymore. Which probably hurt more than the rock, to be honest. It's amazing to think that somebody could actually say those words while they're straddling somebody on a cliff top getting ready to throw them off. So unreal. And if their theme is the three uns, another would be unreal. As bad as this was, and I'll spare you the bashing with the head and all that, I do think that's important, but less important than how the defense went after this woman in cross-examination. It was really pretty brutal.
Good morning, Ms. Konig.
Good morning.
My name is Tommy Otake. I'm Gerhard's attorney. I have some questions for you this morning, ma'am. If I ask a question that you don't understand, please let me know and I'll try my best to clarify it, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, I want to begin a little bit with this issue of Mr. Jeffrey Miller. Mr. Miller was a co-worker of yours, yes?
That's right.
And was he a senior vice president at the company that you worked for?
Not at the time, no.
At the time, what was his position? And when at the time, I mean in November, December of 2024. What was his position at TerraPower at the time?
A director, senior director, something like that.
Senior director. Okay. Now, you understood Mr. Miller was also married, yes?
Yes.
You were married at the time, yes?
That's right.
Yes, please make sure you like the video out there. Spank the like button. Leave your DNA of choice on the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And most importantly, say hello to the flock of black sheep here in the live chat. Very supportive, encouraging, eccentric group. I would have it no other way. And I usually go live 5 or 6 nights a week, a little bit after 10 p.m. Eastern, to talk about true crime and current events.
You indicated under oath today that after the discovery of these communications with you and Mr. Miller, you and Gerhard would refer what had happened between the two of you. You would refer to it as an emotional affair, correct?
That's right.
All right. In fact, there were times in communications where he referred to it as a secret affair, yes?
When you say he, you mean Gerhard?
Yes.
I don't recall, but potentially.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. And in fact, in the counseling sessions that you guys had, it was whatever was going on with Mr. Miller was referred to as emotional infidelity at times, yes?
As far as I can recall, yes.
Okay. Now, emotional affair, secret affair, emotional infidelity. When you were interviewed by the detective in this case, following this incident we're all talking about, you were asked by the detective about your relationship with Mr. Miller, yes?
Yes, sir.
And you understood that he was investigating this case and he expected you to be honest and truthful, correct?
That's right.
And he asked you whether or not you had an affair with Mr. Miller, and your response to the detective was no, that you didn't have an affair, correct?
Based on...
My question, ma'am, is was your answer to his question, when he asked you a very specific question, did you have an affair? Your answer with Mr. Miller, your answer was no, correct?
That's correct.
You described it to the detective simply as some flirty text messages with a coworker, correct?
That's what it was, sir.
That's what it was, according to you, right?
That's right.
So we're not talking about the two of them making the beast with two backs. We're talking about them flirting over text messages. And that is what has the good doctor suffering from pain in his backside. I don't get it.
The beast with two backs. I've never heard it put that way before. Have you, Chet?
You know, you shouldn't do that, right? I mean, it's wrong, but it's not the kind of thing that you murder somebody over. At least I wouldn't think it would be.
Now, after the discovery of these messages and what was going on with you and Mr. Miller, there were times when you and Gerhard would communicate about the situation by text messages between the two of you, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And isn't it true that on December 9th, 2024, Gerhard sent you a text that said, you engaged and continued in elaborate secret affair instead of coming to me asking to work on our relationship? You remember him sending you that text?
Sir, objection here, sustained.
It's impeachment, Your Honor. She said there was no affair.
Oh.
I can. Thank you, Your Honor. Isn't it true that in a text message on December 9th, when Gerhard texted you and accused you of engaging in a secret affair, your response to that text was, if anything, I learned how stupid it was this time and know how to make sure it doesn't happen again. That was what you responded. That was your response to him confronting you and saying you engaged in a secret affair. You said, I learned how stupid it was and I know how to make sure it doesn't happen again, correct?
It felt like an affair to Gerhard, and that's how we were treating it in our marriage.
Ma'am, can you listen to my question?
Sure.
Okay, my question is about the text message. Isn't it true in a text message, I'm not asking you why you said what you said, in a text message, when Gerhard accused you of engaging.
So when these lawyers are cross-examining people, they're both, whether they're the prosecutor or the defense, professional antagonizers, really. It's almost like what they're trying to do.
And continuing an elaborate secret affair. Your response was, if anything, I learned how stupid it was this time and know how to make sure it doesn't happen again. My only question is, do you recall sending that response to him when he accused you of being in a secret affair?
Yes.
A couple of things to notice about that. First, the objection was sustained, obviously, because he came back and asked the question in a different way. But what was interesting was he tried to get in that she was denying the affair, when actually it's exactly the opposite. She was admitting to some flirty text messages. And then when he asks this question, she said, that's how it felt to Gerhard, and that's how we treated it, which was the explanation. Then he says, well, listen to it again, to what he says.
I'm asking you why you said what you said.
Which is exactly what she told him. So she gets to appear reasonable twice, and he gets to look overly aggressive twice. It's not a good look for a defense attorney when you're attacking the victim who was hit in the head and who may very well have been trying to poison her and throw her off the cliff. We don't know. But clearly, he was not acting like a sane and reasonable person at that point. Now, I realize that, whether it's emotional infidelity or actual infidelity where you're doing things you shouldn't do, it can hurt a lot and it can destroy marriages. But the solution to that is called divorce court. It's not called the morgue. And apparently he just wanted to skip to the end of the story. Her story, not his. So, I mean, this is a tough case for the defense because they're talking about her having an affair and being, emotionally unavailable and that kind of thing, when in fact, she appears completely reasonable here. But it does get worse. There is that.
You didn't say to him, it was just flirty text messages, don't worry. You said it was stupid of me, it won't happen again, correct?
Because when I did that, we would start to argue. So you're right.
And when you said in your text message, it won't, I know how to make sure it doesn't happen again. That was in reference to the elaborate secret affair that he was referencing, yes?
To breaking his trust, yes.
Okay, I just have to say a jury is going to like this woman. They're going to like her because she's straightforward. She said, yeah, I broke his trust. He keeps trying to overreach elaborate secret affair. Elaborate secret affair versus flirty text messages. I mean, there's a pretty big difference. Yet,
Well, if I'm the defense lawyer in this case, I would be framing it as an emotional affair. I mean, you better believe the shoe is on the other foot. A man's doing that to a woman. The woman would call it an emotional affair, probably. So, again, what do you consider flirty versus what do you consider an emotional affair? Flirty might be like how you talk to a server in a restaurant, flirty, or something like that. But when it's a coworker, I mean, a lot of affairs happen in the workplace, right? That's where they start. You spend so much time around somebody. Some of them remain just flirty. Others go into emotional affair territory. Others go into full-blown cheating territory. Just depends.
he continues to go back to the well with this, trying to build it into something that clearly it is not. And she's willing to admit the flirty text messages, but nothing else happened. But Gerhardt felt like he broke her trust. So she says he felt like, yeah, I broke my, maybe I broke his trust. I don't know. This is one of those situations where you need to read the room. You need to look at the jury and see what they're looking at, who they're looking at, and what's on their face. Because if I was sitting in the jury room, I'd be going, huh?
First of all, this goes on for pages and pages and pages.
So I'm not as appalled as this guy is about it. I get what he's saying, but I do think emotional affair. If the defense lawyer would have said emotional affair, that'd be, that could be accurate.
Correct?
Yes, it's over months.
Excuse me?
It looks like it's over months, but yes,
But this is all between you and Mr. Miller, correct?
Yeah.
Your coworker, right?
that's right.
Okay. Let's go to 12-1, please. Mr. Dirks, let me know when we're there. I think it's the bottom of 1908. Is that it? Yes. Can we blow up the bottom section, please? Okay. Is it possible to make it bigger? Not really. Shucks. Okay. Ma'am, I'm gonna read this to you, and can you see it on the screen there?
May I have a copy?
Oh, sure. So probably a good idea. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'll turn to 1908. Thank you at the bottom.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so the day starts off on this Sunday. Mr. Miller texts you, and there's timestamps on here, but this was the timestamps of the WhatsApp. I'm imagining he wasn't texting at 3:23 a.m.
So, I mean, I don't even know if I would consider this sexting. Was there sexting? Was there nude pictures exchanged? I don't know.
Is that right?
I wouldn't think so.
Okay. But in any event, he starts on this Sunday, and he starts off, he says, "Good morning. Sounds good. I hope you're getting some good sleep. I've slept a ton over the break," which has been, and we'll go to the next page. Okay. Is it possible to blow up half the page? Yeah. It may not be seeable, but we'll try. Which has been nice. And then you respond and you say good morning, correct?
That's correct.
So this is in the morning on a Sunday, correct?
Yes.
Okay. He goes on, this is nice, always good to get caught up on sleep. And you say, up now, just put a fresh batch of yogurt in the fridge with some kind of, can you zoom in on that emoji, possibly? Mr. Durr?
What are his response? There they are. Looks like there's missing some. Or she's texting him first. But where's his responses? Why does she respond to something before he says something? Oh, okay. There it is, up there. Jeff Miller, it's been good. She says that is nice. Always good to get caught up on sleep. It's been good. Blues Traveler. Give me a run around. Cat knows that song. And humor me and tell me lies.
Yeah. Okay. So telling him in the morning about the fresh batch of yogurt in the fridge and with this emoji, whatever that emoji is, correct?
That's correct.
All right.
Oh, how terrible. She sent somebody a happy face emoji. They were discussing yogurt. Oh no, this must be code for something else. What does he think he is accomplishing here? Did he study at the Thelma and Louise School of Cross-Examination?
I will say the defense is not doing a good job proving their point with this. It's like if you're going to show text messages, you want it to establish the emotional affair aspect, or at least emphasize that's why you're even bringing it up. It's an emotional affair. We're establishing they're doing this, and that's what we're trying to establish here. For what reason? I'm not sure. But I just don't think they're making the point in a good way. There's a better point to be made here. I should be a defense lawyer, for crying out loud. Right, Shadow? These bastards don't know how to defend anyone.
What kind of a dent does he think he's making in the jury with this? It wouldn't make a dent with me, I'll tell you that much. But again, it does get worse.
Ms. Konig, in the divorce case, you and your attorney are raising the allegations of attempted murder in this case to get the upper hand in that case, correct?
The criminal case.
Let me rephrase.
Thank you.
Do you recall last week, the day this trial started, you signed off on a document that was submitted to family court called a motion to set. You remember that?
Yes, sir. I remember signing the motion to set.
And in that motion, well, you signed it and adopted it as true. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
And that motion details the allegations in this case and then states that you should get full custody of the kids, correct?
Yes, sir.
That the father should not have any contact with the kids due to a finding of family violence, yes?
Consistent with previous ruling, yes.
That you should keep your retirement and get half of his, right?
Yes, sir.
That you should keep the house, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good afternoon, Ms. Konig. I know it's been a long morning. I only have two quick follow-ups that I forgot to ask you about earlier. You mentioned when I was asking you about the fact that you were using WhatsApp to communicate with Mr. Miller instead of your phone or email. Text messages on your phone or email. I think you indicated, well, you would use WhatsApp to talk to other people at work from time to time too, correct?
Yes, sir.
But isn't it true that TerraPower, which is a nuclear engineering, or it's a nuclear energy company, correct?
Yes, sir.
The sanctioned software for company communications was Microsoft Teams, correct?
They provide Microsoft Teams for us, yes.
Right, and that's how they wanted you to message each other because it's a secure communication network, right?
Not exclusively. We're instructed to use encrypted messaging when we talk about work.
You were instructed to use encrypted messaging, right?
Yes, sir. Which iMessage counts, and so does WhatsApp.
Now, in August of 2024, you went on a trip to South Africa with Mr. Miller, correct?
And another TerraPower employee, yes, sir.
I didn't ask that. I asked if Mr. Miller went on that trip with you, yes or no?
Yes, he did, sir.
And in fact, not only did he go on that trip with you, he advocated for you to be able to go on that trip with him, yes?
He helped set the group of people going, yes, sir.
And he specifically got you to be able to go on that trip with him, yes?
So she has never said she actually slept with this guy, that it was just flirty. I mean, it's hard to know what to believe. I'd have to see more of the interactions. But again, even if she is cheating all the way, I'm not sure what the emphasis of this, what's the point? What's the point? What are you trying to establish here? Okay, she cheated. So what? Now what? Are you going to try to establish that she's trying to run off with this guy and that's her motive to attack him? Is that what you're trying to establish? Because it doesn't seem like you're doing a good job of establishing that.
I don't know the answer to that, sir.
Do you recall messaging him on WhatsApp on October 30th and saying, I know I said it earlier, but I sincerely appreciate you getting me on this trip. Do you remember messaging that to Mr. Miller in August after this trip?
Yes, sir.
No further questions. Thank you, Ms. Konig.
Thank you.
A father's job is to provide for his children. And a mother's job is sometimes to see to it that he does. The jabs at her over trying to secure her future viability in an extremely expensive environment, and Hawaii is an extremely expensive environment because things we take for granted here, like hopping down to Publix to grab a can of field peas with snaps, you can't do that in Hawaii without paying for how those things get there, which is usually by boat. And things are probably 20 to 30% more expensive in Hawaii than they are in the mainland. And as a result of that, you have to take care of yourself and you have to take care of the children. So I don't see where any of that did them any good. And more importantly, I think it harmed them because she looked completely.
This guy's name is JD, a lawyer explains. I like his channel for the most part. Also, please remember to like the video. Likes are free. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already.
Reasonable. She even thanked him at the end. She maintained her poise. She maintained her temper. She didn't lose her temper. And she still got in quite a few jabs, like the thing about going to South Africa with another employee. Again, you can't teach witnesses how to do that. They either know how to do it or they don't. And I think she more adequate.
I don't even think that's necessarily, if you're trying to just prove cheating, it doesn't even matter if another employee went too. Right? I mean, you can cheat, right? The fact that you're away from home, that's really the big point. But again, I'm not sure what they're trying to establish even with the cheating thing, right? I don't understand where they were going with it.
Defended herself even than the prosecutor in trying to rehabilitate her later. So I think this is one of those situations where you score this a net win for the prosecution overall. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here today, and especially if you have subscribed. That means let's begin with the premise that the right way to cross-examine the son was to stand up and say, "No questions, Your Honor," because what happened in the cross-examination did not do them much good. I'll explain more in just a second. Hi, Tony DeWitt here. Formerly, I was a Missouri attorney in active practice. Then I retired. Then I unretired and started a YouTube channel. And I bring you all kinds of stuff about trials and the law. So no legal advice is given, but stay tuned. This is what we're talking about today. This is Hawaii versus Gerhard Konig, MD. According to prosecutors, this was a calculated and escalating attack, starting with an attempt to push Ariel Konig off of a cliff, followed by attempting to use a syringe and vial, and ending with a brutal assault using a rock. Two eyewitnesses say that they saw the defendant on top of his wife, striking her as she cried out for help. The state has charged him with attempted murder, but the defense tells a completely different story. They argue this was not attempted murder, but a chaotic and emotional confrontation fueled by a failing marriage, allegations of infidelity, and a physical altercation that spiraled out of control. Their theme: unfaithful, unwilling, and untrue. So the son is on the stand and he is discussing the phone call that he got at 10:42. Let's listen to a little bit of this.
Now you get this call on 10:42.
Now this is,
and he's telling you,
Dr. Gerhardt's son here. His son said that his dad confessed to him in a FaceTime call. And this is the defense cross-examining him. Let's see how it goes.
amongst other things, that he said he's not going to make it back. Yes.
Correct.
And like he was saying goodbye to you. Yes.
Oh, we got a super chat from United States Dale. I appreciate your support there, United. I appreciate that very much. So does Shadow the Night Owl here too. So super chats are a great way to get questions answered and to support the channel, as are super stickers. And so does becoming a channel member. Becoming a channel member also gives you access to the members only live streams. So I'm glad people are liking the new case here, right? Because we can't talk about Nancy Guthrie forever. There's only going to be so much to talk about. So I'm going to be trying to spread my wings a little bit more from here. So let me know what you think about these guys too. So this guy, JD, a lawyer knows, or late JD, a lawyer explains. We've gone over him before, but let me know what you think of him. Lawyer Lee can be up next too. And thank you again, United. Very appreciated.
Correct.
And you quickly realize that something's wrong, right?
Yes.
You don't know exactly what's going on, but he's also telling you that he's going to jump and commit suicide, correct?
Correct.
And from what he was, saying, and from what and acting the way, what you could gather, you could tell that there was a lot going on in his head. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. You could tell that your dad was distressed when he was talking to you. Yes?
No.
Okay. You remember you gave later the day of these calls, you talked to the detective on Maui. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember telling the detective that your dad sounded like he was kind of distressed, trying to stay calm but kind of distressed? Remember saying that to the detective?
No.
Okay. Would seeing the transcript of the interview with the detective help to refresh your memory of what you told the detective?
Yes.
Okay. This is 170, page 4. Okay. May I approach, Your Honor? Yes. Okay. So, email, I'm going to show you this transcript. If you can just read lines 14 and 15. Well, if you wanted to start from lines 8 and read down to lines 15 and just read it to yourself and let me know when you're done. Okay. You remember saying that to the detective?
Yes.
But as you sit here today, you don't have a recollection of him sounding distressed. Is that right?
Didn't sound distressed.
Okay. But you did tell the detective it sounded like he was kind of distressed, right?
And then I said afterwards, he sounded calm.
Yeah, you said it sounded like he was kind of distressed, but trying to stay calm. And he did sound calm. That's what you said, right?
Correct.
Kind of distressed, but trying to stay calm, right? Is
Yes.
that right? Okay. Now, he's talking to you, sounds kind of distressed, trying to stay calm. And you said,
This defense attorney just doesn't sound too smooth. I think that's part of the problem here. And that does contribute, right? If you don't sound smooth in what you're doing, you sound unsure of yourself. It just doesn't help your defense. It doesn't help the defendant. I would be a better defendant, but you better believe I could also be a damn good prosecutor too.
also at some point, said something about he seemed like he was at the end of his rope. Is that right?
Yes. That is what he said.
What is he doing? He's just going over everything that the prosecution has already put into evidence. One of the first things you have to make a decision about before you cross-examine a witness is whether you should or whether you shouldn't. What are you going to get him to say? Oh, yeah, I made it all up. Of course not, because the phone has records of the calls being made and received.
George, the chat doesn't even want me to say it. YouTube blocked me, but I like the sounds of Judge Jared. Judge Jared, the shepherd of black sheep. Judge Jared, the wizard of radical self-respect. That way I can keep the defense and prosecutors in line and say, what the hell are you guys doing in my courtroom?
So it wouldn't do you any good to do that, to try to take this and make a Perry Mason moment out of it. So now you're just trying to emphasize how distressed he was. That does not, I'd be distressed too if I'd almost killed my wife. But that doesn't exonerate him from beating her over the head with a rock. I'm really confused about what Otaki's strategy is here. Maybe we'll see more in a minute.
The first call, Emil, when your dad is having this first call with you, from what it was on a FaceTime, right?
Correct.
And there was video, right?
Yes.
So you could see him and kind of the, whatever was in the camera behind him, right?
Right.
And he's having this call with you. He's right on the edge of what looked like a steep cliff, correct?
Yes.
And he's telling you he was going to jump, yes?
Yes.
So his dad has said he was going to jump off the cliff and end your life attempt. By the way, if we don't get to 100 likes soon, Shadow the Night Owl is going to have to resort to drinking. He does not want to have to resort to drinking for sustenance. A man and a night owl can live on beer alone, but he does not want to.
And did you assume that where he was talking to you at was where the incident with him and Ariel took place? Generally,
I wasn't aware. I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay, but it looked like he was in a steep place that kind of was high, like you had to scale on rocks to get to it. Correct?
Correct.
You see blood on your dad's shirt, yes?
Correct.
And he tells you that this was Ariel's blood, yes?
Yes.
And he told you that he was explaining to you about how Ariel had been cheating on him for a couple of months, yes?
Yes.
And he told you that the blood was from her head, correct?
Correct.
And half an hour earlier, everything seemed fine to you, right?
Yes.
Now you're hearing this. You see the blood. You see the steep cliff. He's telling you he's going to jump. And I'm sure it was a pretty.
Now this kid, as a professional face reader, he just seems more cool, calm, and collect than his dad and the defense lawyer. I'm yet to make up my mind about the prosecutor, but you can just see in his face he has like a level of self-assuredness and confidence. Father, not so much. So I'll be curious who his mother is. His mother is not the person his father allegedly tried to kill. His mother is someone else.
Pretty emotional, upsetting call, yes?
Yes.
And it was also a little confusing to you. You're trying to kind of piece together and make sense of what happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And also trying to convince him not to jump, correct?
Correct.
Well, thank you, Captain Obvious. Again, he's going over everything that the prosecutor has already put into evidence. The jury has to be looking at him like, what are you doing? Are you just trying to make this kid relive this sad moment again in his life? Why would you do that? Why would you force him to do that? I don't understand.
This was on FaceTime and so it was on speakerphone, correct?
Correct. Correct.
After the first call, you then go to Judy and Pete's house, yes?
Yes.
And that's Ariel's parents' house, yes?
Yes.
But you call them your grandparents, correct?
Yes.
You also went to Judy and Pete's house with your girlfriend, right?
Yes.
Is that still your girlfriend?
No.
Okay, your girlfriend at the time, correct?
Yes.
Then maybe about an hour later, your dad calls you again. Is that right?
Yes.
And you guys are talking, and he tells you, he brought it up and asked, and you said, yeah, I told Judy and Pete, and then he starts saying, okay, I'm gonna jump then, or something like that. Is that right?
Yes.
And then he said he needed to go so the police wouldn't find him, right?
Yes.
Okay, so he was telling you he wanted to jump and kill himself, and he wanted to go so the police wouldn't find him. That's what he was saying, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. And, after these understandably difficult and emotional calls, later that day, the detectives from Maui contact you, correct?
Yes.
And at least according to it was at the interview started at 2:27 p.m., correct? Would seeing the transcript help you remember that?
It would.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Okay. Again, 170. So email, if you just read that, this is the start of the interview. Okay, read it to yourself. Let me know when you're done.
Yep.
All right. So the interview started at 2:27 p.m. later that day, correct?
Correct.
And these were not Honolulu Police Department detectives, but Maui Police Department detectives, correct?
As far as I know.
And, you were able to look on your phone later. Well, you were able to look on your phone and tell the detectives the exact timing of the calls. And that's why you were able to say the first call was 10:42 a.m. and the second call was 11:46 a.m., right?
Yes.
So the interviews with the detectives is at 2:30 or 2:27. So about 4 hours after the 10:42 call, and about 3 hours after the 11:46 call, right? The interview with the detective.
Yes.
Roughly. And, obviously you didn't record the call with your dad when you guys were having them. You're just listening to him and talking to him about not jumping, right?
Correct.
And you didn't write down any notes after the call, right after, did you?
Correct.
Okay.
I did not.
But you tried your best, 3 to 4 hours later, to describe the call you had with your dad to the detectives, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And, today, for example, you were asked by Mr. Gardner.
So, Chatty, for the people that are coming in late, we're listening to JD, a lawyer explains, and this is the case of Dr. Gerhardt. He is accused of attempting to kill his wife. His wife's name's Ariel. This is Dr. Gerhardt's son that is testifying right now. The defense is cross-examining him. I'm not sure really what the defense is even getting at here to show that the father was in distress. I just don't know what their goals are. I'm not sure what the goals of the defense are in this case. And the fact that I don't know yet, that's probably a problem.
After he was talking to you about jumping, you were asked, what did you say back to him? And I think he said, I don't remember what I said right after that. You remember saying that just a little while ago?
Yes.
Okay. So as you see there today, there's parts of the exact wording and timing of what was said that you don't quite remember exactly verbatim word for word, correct?
Yes.
And for example, you were asked by Mr. Gardner about, what he said after a certain point. And there are things that you don't recall exactly what your dad said after certain parts of the conversation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you tried your best to explain to the detectives what you understood your dad to have been saying, correct?
Yes.
But to be clear, it wasn't like an exact word for word verbatim of the entire conversation, but you did your best, correct?
Yes.
Okay. For example, in an effort to do your best to explain to the detectives on Maui what happened, you initially told the detectives that your dad told you he tried to kill Ariel by pushing her off a cliff. You remember initially saying that to the detective?
Yes.
Okay. And that was what you had kind of assumed given the things that he told you and where he was on the cliff. That's what you assumed that he meant, right? At least when you said that to the detective, right?
Can you repeat that question?
So when you initially told the detective, my dad told me he tried to kill Ariel by pushing her off a cliff, that's what you assumed your dad had meant, correct? When he said that, you assumed your dad meant that he had tried to. Let me phrase it this way. You remember telling the detective.
This defense attorney's terrible. He's just not sure of himself, not direct. Like, you got to have an angle here, and he just doesn't seem to be communicating the angle well.
Initially, that your dad told you he tried to kill Ariel by pushing her off a cliff. You remember telling the detective that?
Yes.
Okay. But later on, in the conversation, in the interview, when a detective asked you about that, you clarified and you said the part about pushing her off the cliff was what you assumed he meant, not what he had actually said, correct?
Yes, correct.
And then
And this guy, I mean, this guy can afford a good lawyer. He probably makes a few $100,000 a year, 200 to 400 ish. Anesthesiologists, they do well, especially depending on the overtime. So the defense shouldn't be a financial problem, but maybe they're proving that finances are not everything when it comes to defense.
when the prosecutor asked you questions about it, you said at some point he said something about she got away, right? Something like that?
Yes.
Okay. Did anyone tell you about the two witnesses that had testified that when she was moving away from him, he didn't try to stop her? Did anyone tell you that?
Can you repeat that?
Did anyone tell you that about how the witnesses that were there testified when she was moving away from him, he didn't try to stop her?
At what point?
No. Over.
Did anybody share that information with you?
I don't understand the question.
Okay.
He's not the only one that doesn't understand that question. I'm trying to understand that question. You're asking him about what the eyewitnesses to the attack said to the police when he has no way of knowing that at the time that he's getting this call. Now you're asking him, what, 7, 8 months later? I guess maybe more than that, a year and a half, maybe later. You're asking him now, what do you know about that? Or did he tell you about that? Or did you assume that? He's trying to get the good facts in through this witness to the extent that he can to try and negate the fact that the kid heard the confession. But I don't think he's doing a very good job. And he was interviewed 4 hours after the phone call, and he got most of it right. In fact, it was pretty detailed if you listen to the questions that Otaki is asking him.
I mean, it's pretty damning. I mean, a son's confession of the dad saying that he confessed, that is pretty damning. And for the father, fairly foolish as well to say that.
So again, I'm not understanding what the strategy is here with this witness, because if there was a strategy, it went out the door when the kid had, told everybody that he had confessed. So what the witnesses may have said to the police is irrelevant in context of what this child knew.
You, at the time, you had moved to Maui with your dad and Ariel when you were in high school, yes?
Yes.
And that was something that you chose to do, right?
Yes.
Okay. You were in Pittsburgh with where your dad was and your mom, Jessica, was, correct?
Yes.
And you chose to move to Maui to be with your dad and Ariel, yes?
Yes.
And so by the time we get to 2025, how long had you been on Maui? Roughly.
2 years at that point.
Okay. You had a girlfriend at the time, yes?
I did.
You had made friends on Maui, yes?
I did.
Your two younger brothers were there, yes?
Yes.
You had a job on Maui in March of 2025?
I did.
What kind of job?
I worked at Chick-fil-A at the time.
Were you going to school?
I was not.
Okay. And you liked it on Maui, right?
Yes.
Okay. So your options were to stay in Pittsburgh with your mom. You could have done that, right?
Yes.
Jessica, right? If you could have stayed in Pittsburgh with her if you chose to, right?
Correct.
Or you could come back to Maui, where your friends were and your girlfriend was, but to do that you would have to live with Ariel, right? To come back to Maui, you could come back to Maui and live with Ariel, right?
It was an option, yes.
Yeah, it was an option. And over the last year, since this incident, you have continued to live with Ariel, correct?
Yes.
You also would see Ariel's parents, Judy and Pete, regularly over the last year, correct?
Correct.
And you refer to them as your grandparents, yes?
Yes.
And you, they came with you to court today, yes?
Yes.
And over the last year, though, you've limited your contact with your dad's side of the family, correct? You haven't seen them much, right?
I wouldn't say that.
Okay. Your grandparents, you haven't seen them much in the last year, have you? Or talked to them much?
I have done both of those things.
How often have you seen them?
Probably seen them
Since the incident.
since the incident 2 or 3 times.
Okay. The most recent time was when they were gonna come to see you play roller hockey on the mainland, right?
Yes.
Okay. And where was that?
Irvine.
And when was that? Roughly.
I couldn't tell you.
Okay. I mean, it was in 2025?
Yes.
Okay.
No, it was 2026.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant that's what I meant. Sorry. It was in 2026?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're into roller hockey, you played a lot.
Yeah.
And you traveled to California earlier this year for a tournament, right?
I did.
Your grandma and grandpa, your dad's parents were going to meet you in Irvine to watch some of your games, right?
Yep.
And when they got there, Ariel's parents, Judy and Pete, had traveled with you up there, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm lost. I don't understand what he's doing. Roller hockey? That's what.
I don't understand either, to be honest. I don't know what he's getting at. I don't know if he's trying to make it seem like he has a motive to lie about his dad or something. I don't know. But the fact that it's so unclear is the problem.
We're going to talk about roller hockey and a visit with the grandparents when both sets of grandparents were there. You know, I'm in a situation where I have, where there are really 3 sets of grandparents here for some of my grandkids. And
Kat, JD, a lawyer, explains, is just like Doug Funny. He has the same outfit in his closet, the green and white vest.
we all get along famously. And that's not unusual for us to all get together and have a big dinner. I'm trying to figure out what he's trying to imply here, because he's trying to imply something. Oh, you love Ariel's grandparents more than your grandparents, your biological grandparents. That has to be the cheapest shot you could use on a witness. And it ought to make the jury really ticked off. He may actually be worse than Thelma and Louise.
And you have not spoken to your dad since the incident, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Emil. That's all the questions I have for you.
You were asked about on cross-examination this being a confusing FaceTime call. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were clarify more for us right here, Emil. Was there any confusion about the defendant telling you he tried to kill Ariel?
Can you reword that?
Sure. Did you have any confusion about that statement by the defendant?
Was I confused at all? Yes.
I'm sorry. Is there any confusion in your mind about the defendant making that statement that he tried to kill Ariel?
Now?
In general?
Yes.
Okay, could you explain?
I didn't expect it.
I'm sorry. I think I'm phrasing my questions poorly, Emil. Is there any doubt in your mind about the defendant telling you he tried to kill Ariel?
No.
Thank you. No further questions.
So there's no doubt in his mind. I mean, it's pretty damning. Not very good for the defense.
Oh, thank heavens. Good grief. I'm afraid Otaki is rubbing off on the prosecutor now. He can't phrase a simple question. That was awful. He should have asked the last question first, and he wouldn't have stumbled around and looked somewhat incompetent.
Correct. Ask the last question first, and you have like a home run moment there. No further questions, Your Honor.
Confident doing that. And I hate to criticize the prosecutor because I know he's trying his best, but man, think about your questions before you ask him. All in all, this was not the best witness for the defense. In fact, he may have been the absolute worst. The only person who testified more concretely and more incriminatingly about what happened was Ariel herself. And now his son is choosing, by another woman, is choosing to live with Ariel. So obviously, Ariel must be a fairly decent person if...
That is interesting. I did not know that. So he's choosing to live with Ariel. Ooh.
He has chosen to do that. So again, all of this machination about the grandparents and stuff and all of the half-hearted questions to see if he could get him to change his story, he wasted everybody's time with that. And this is one of the worst cross-examinations I've seen in a while. And it certainly does come close to topping Thelma and Louise. Thanks for watching.
So that's pretty big. If the son chose to live with Ariel, not very good for the defense. And maybe the defense is just screwed, and so they just didn't have much to say.
On the trail.
Hi, y'all, and welcome to tonight's live stream. Somebody is lying. I normally try not to use words that strong in my videos, but I just don't see any way around it. In the Gerhard Konig trial going on right now in Hawaii, there are two completely different stories about what happened in March 2024 on a cliffside in Hawaii. I see no way they can both be true. On the one side, you have Ariel Konig, who says her husband lured her onto a dangerous hike for her birthday, of all things, isolated her, and then tried to kill her, pushing her toward a cliff, pulling out a syringe, hitting her with a rock. On the other hand, you have Gerhard Konig, the defendant in the case. He's a respected anesthesiologist in Hawaii. He says this was a marital fight, and he didn't start it, Ariel did. And that it just spiraled out of control. She attacked him, grabbed him in a way that left him no choice. And everything he did after that was just self-defense. So today we're going to look at exactly what the two of them said at trial. It's still going on. We do not have a verdict yet. And you're going to see they actually agree on a surprising number of facts. They agree, for example, it was the birthday. The hike was for the birthday. There were photos. There were some parts of the fight they agree on, but they most emphatically do not agree on what matters most legally. Who started it and why? And their stories just completely break apart at that point. And that's the part that matters. So today we're going to walk through what each one of them says happened. You're going to see the parts where they agree, but far more importantly, the parts where they do not agree. And we're going to look at why those differences matter legally and how it's going to be affected. I have a lot of video tonight, so I want to go ahead and dive into that straight away. All right, so it's been a while since we've been live. I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. Welcome back, everybody. Bama Queen has been a member for 25 months. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That is forever. Much appreciated. And Belle, thank you. And happy Easter to y'all too. It is a wonderful weekend. All right, so let's get started. Let's add the video. We're going to start with the start of their day. This was Ariel's birthday. Yay, celebration. And her husband has planned a super special event. They're out of town. They're actually on one of the other Hawaiian islands from the one they live on. They're staying in a hotel and they are going for the day. They're going to go on a hike. They're, according to Gerhardt, then going to go to the pool and then go out to dinner. It's a fun day. So here's how everything started.
Hotel, getting ready to leave for breakfast and then for the hike, and gave me a present and this card.
Ariel, how did you feel when you got this card?
Hopeful. I was I teared up when I read it. I thought it was really sweet. And we were coming off a hard season. So, I felt hopeful that this was a turning point for us in our marriage and that this was going to be a nice trip and kind of started the next chapter for us.
Now, surprisingly, this is one of the places where Gerhardt agrees with her. There was a sweet card from Gerhardt. There was a present. Everything started out great.
Did you give her a birthday card that day?
Yes.
Okay, we're not going to read the whole thing, but did you mean the words you wrote in there?
I did.
Did you also get her a birthday present?
I did.
What did you get her?
It was a necklace, like a Koa wood silver necklace.
Who planned that?
Okay, so question number one is that I wanted to talk about is how did their day start? And the answer is everybody agrees it started out looking like a fun day. Now, was this all subterfuge? Did Gerhardt know already what he was going to do? That's what the prosecution will try to prove. So let's look at question number two. Based on what they testified to at trial, who planned this hike? Who was the one who came up with this idea? Now, the prosecution has suggested Gerhardt did and picked it perhaps because it was so dangerous and it offered an opportunity for him to shove Ariel off a cliff there in Hawaii.
Gerhardt planned the hike.
It just seemed like a really cool spot that you end up in where there's
And I want to do a transition here and explain. So now we're going to switch to Gerhardt. He agrees. He is in fact the one who planned this, but he says it wasn't because it was a murderous location. There was a much better reason to go on this hike.
hole in the mountain you can look through and take pictures. The hike itself seemed fun because it provided a bunch of great views, but it was also kind of close to Waikiki and it wasn't too long of a hike. We didn't want to spend the whole day out. So we were only going to be here from Sunday to Tuesday. And so Monday was our only, the only day that we were here the whole day. And we wanted to hang out by the pool for part of the day.
Did you also make a dinner reservation at
Yes. Yes.
For that night?
Yes.
Did you explain to Ari ahead of time that you had found this Palipuka hike?
Yes.
Did you tell her a little bit about it?
Yeah.
Did she object to it in any way?
No, not at all. She sounded excited.
So the two of them agree that Gerhardt selected the day's events, this hike. Now, Gerhardt believes that dinner reservation is really important because he believes that's evidence that he was not expecting to kill his wife that day. This wasn't pre-planned. There was no intent with the hike. If there had been a pre-plan, he wouldn't have scheduled dinner that night. He would have known he wouldn't need to go to dinner because she was going to be dead by then. And so the defense team argues that's a point in their favor. Now, of course, the prosecution, I think, would say anyone can plan a dinner reservation. That was just Gerhardt trying to hide what he was going to do. So question number 3 that I want to talk about, let me make this a little bit larger. Did Gerhardt Konig maneuver things so that the two of them would be all alone on the hike? Because Ariel tells a very disturbing story, frankly, about how her husband made and arranged things to make sure they were all alone on this hike. It was a hike that went right along a cliff there in Hawaii. She said it was hundreds of feet high. You'll hear more about that in just a minute.
When we first got there were 2 hikers walking around, looking on their phones, kind of looking like they were looking for the trailhead. When there's a sign that says the trail is closed, so it looked like they were trying to figure out where the trail actually was. And I was like, oh, they're looking for the trail too. We should tell them it's up here, because we had seen hikes like that before where you kind of go past the sign. And he said, no, it'll be nicer if it's just us. Let's just go to the lookout and give them time to find the hike.
So Gerhardt on the other hand, says that never happened. The reason this would be important, obviously, is that the prosecution is trying to suggest that Gerhardt was setting up the moment when he would be all alone with Ariel and could get away with murdering her by shoving her off that cliff down hundreds of feet to the valley below. And that was something he wanted to do alone. He didn't want to be caught. That's what's being suggested here. So let's hear what Gerhardt says on this topic.
You know, Ms. Konig testified about this thing about how it looked like they were hikers trying to find a trailhead, and then you said, oh, wait, we want to be alone. Did that happen?
No.
At a certain point,
So I wouldn't, this is something that's sort of smaller. It's not an actual description of what happened between the two of them. So I don't put this as the most important, but it's a clear difference. One says one thing happened, the other says something completely different happened. So question number 4. Now, at some point along the hike, just 5 minutes in, they said, Ariel and Gerhardt separate on the hike. Now, Gerhardt goes on, but ultimately comes back down and they continue on together. It was unclear to me whether they went up or down, but they were only apart for a short period of time. So question number 4 is this: why did they separate as they went up this cliff? And these are really different stories. So Ariel says that the reason she went down was due to a fear of heights.
Decide to turn around.
Yes, we were hiking, and there's kind of these like cliff faces that you walk past, and it's pretty narrow. And I was just feeling uneasy, and I wasn't enjoying myself. I was just uneasy, and so I told Gerhardt, "I'm not having fun. I don't want to keep going. I'm going to stop here." The cliffs were just feeling, it was windy, and the trail was narrow, and the cliffs were really steep, hundreds of feet, I would say. I told him he could keep going if he wanted to, and I would wait there. And so he went on for a little while I just kind of hung out. And that was maybe, again, 5 or 10 minutes. And then he came back. He came back and he was like, "It's really beautiful. You should really come on it. It's too dangerous for me to be walking around by myself, but you've already done the hardest part by coming up this part. You should really come up and we could keep going." And I was just like, "No, I'm not enjoying it. I don't feel good. I'm not doing it."
So after you told
Interesting. Interesting indeed. What do you make of that, Chet? Seems like she's been maybe picking up on bad vibes or just not liking him at the time. Something.
the defendant no again, what did he do?
Then we started making our way back down the trail.
So Gerhardt Konig has an entirely different story about why they separated. According to him, this had nothing to do with heights. In fact, Ariel was not in any way afraid of heights. The two of them together on their honeymoon did bungee jumping off a 7-foot-high bridge, according to him, and they went zip lining. There was nothing, Ariel had never been afraid of heights. So he says the reason Ariel went back down is because they were fighting, that she brought up wanting to spend more time at work. The problem with that was that the two of them had a serious rift in their marriage when, according to both of them, they discovered that Ariel had been having what she called an emotional affair with someone at her work. And so she wanted to spend more time at work, including traveling for work, which would require her to be alone.
And again, unrelated to the attempted murder case, that wouldn't surprise me that she wants to go do those things, especially if she's having an emotional affair or cheating with this guy, Jeffrey Miller. Yeah. Why wouldn't she want to go spend more time at work at that point? Why wouldn't she want to go travel with this guy? I mean, on an unrelated note, if you're a guy that catches your wife having an emotional affair with a guy from her work and she's going to be traveling with that guy, not a good sign. Not a good sign at all.
Alone or maybe loosely around other people with the same person she had already had this emotional affair with. And he says, I thought that was over. You'll hear him say it. Here's what he had to say.
The edge isn't, like the cliffside isn't open, but there's a couple of spots where you can get to the cliffside if you wanted to. And Aries says, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something. I'm working on this project with Jeff Miller, and I'm gonna need to travel with him again, and I need you to be okay with that. Is that okay?"
Were you upset and angry?
I wasn't angry. I was surprised and upset, and I told her no. Like I'm not okay with that. And not only am I not okay with that, like I'm never going to be okay with that. Like the only reason why I was okay with her still even working there is because we had placed these limits on their communication. But in my mind, like she still needed at some point to quit her job, and this was only put on hold while we were trying to deal with all these other things. She basically said like, well, I can't quit my job right now because I don't even know if I want to stay with you. So we were dealing with like.
So if I'm this guy, I'm his radical self-respect coach. I say, dude, get out of there. This woman's clearly not into you anymore. Like she's just going along with the motions. She's not feeling it. She's not doing the things that would demonstrate that, okay, she's really into me. So I would say, break up with her. Instead, you're just disrespecting yourself and dragging yourself through the mud. And then you do something even worse and potentially attempt to kill her. So it's like, dude, you dope. Again, the same thing with the Michael McKee case, right? I look at these guys that are doctors and successful, and I think, you're a dope. Like, you're going to let a woman get to you that much that you ruin your life over it? Dope.
Issues that she brought up first, but it's not like any of the affair had been resolved at all. Like it had just kind of been put on hold. It made me realize that we were just not on the same page at all in terms of like, here I am just kind of like sublimating my feelings and focusing on her hurt and waiting patiently for her to do the same to me. And this made me feel like she wasn't intending on doing that ever.
Were you guys kind of arguing about it?
Yeah, we were for sure arguing. I just said,
out.
Yeah, I said like I need you to move out. Like this has gone far enough. I need you to move out. And I'm going to tell people why you're moving out, and I'm going to show them what you did, because like unless you face this and unless you take full accountability for this, like we're never going to get through this. She had to be like, well, what if my mom chaperones my work trips with him? And I was like, no, like I'm still not okay with that. Like, and that's not a long-term viable solution. And then later in the argument, when things kind of got heated, she was like, actually, my mom just said that she'll chaperone the trip and she thinks Jeff is interesting and can't wait to meet.
I mean, if what he's saying is true, she's dragging him through the mud, but then he did the wrong thing. You just leave. If she's going to play that game, leave. That's your answer. You didn't follow through. Clearly, he didn't follow through because he's going on this birthday hike with her on the alleged incident day.
I'm like, you're obviously telling them a whole different version of what happened than me. So, I stomped off. I just stomped off up the trail. And this was a point where we were both really kind of just upset with each other. And I went one way and she went the other way.
I want to point this out. Gerhardt's story doesn't really help him because he's saying we were having an argument. We weren't getting along. We were disagreeing. That's not exactly something that's going to make it look like, oh, of course I wasn't trying to kill her, because he's admitting they were having an argument over something he felt very heated and passionate about. But what he says happens is after about 5 or 10 minutes, he agrees with Ariel on this point. He turns around and he says that she was going to head out to the car, that she was going to wait for him there. But he is surprised to discover she's still where he had left her.
5 to 10 minutes in, I was like realizing kind of where I was. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I want to go home and like start dealing with what we need to deal with. I don't want to, I got to the point where it opens up and it's like these beautiful views. And I'm like there by myself and, upset. And I was like, I don't want to be on this hike by myself, upset. And I don't want to do this hike. I'm going to come back and do this hike at a different time when I'm happy.
Where are you expecting her to be?
I thought she went to the car because I saw her head, down the trail.
And there was testimony that when you said when you got there, you said, "Oh, you're still here." Did you say that?
Yes.
And is that because you assumed she had gone back to the parking lot?
Yes.
So at this point and along the route, the two of them began taking some photographs and selfies near a cliff. Now, Whose idea was it to go near the cliff edge? That becomes a pretty important point. Now, Ariel says that it was Gerhardt who wanted to do that. He wanted to photograph her near the edge, kind of the scoot back a little bit further kind of thing. And so instead, she wanted to take a picture in a tree. Then she wanted, but he wanted photos just near the cliff's edge and like a really scary part. And in fact, she says he was acting kind of sketchy on this hike.
We were just walking and talking. And I was like, oh, I'm not as much fun as I used to be since having kids, I guess. But yeah, I'm just not enjoying this today. And we were walking down and there's this big tree. And I was like, oh, I'll climb the tree. You can take my picture up there. And so we did that.
Okay, I want to fast forward in time a little bit to the photos you mentioned later.
Sure.
So did you take any other photos on the way down?
Yes, right at that cliff. When I had come out of the tree and when we had walked to that cliff area, Gerhard said, let's take a selfie with this as the backdrop. So we would be standing with our backs to the cliff, taking a photo.
Before you took that selfie, before the defendant asked to take that selfie, did you notice anything about the defendant's attention?
Yes, he was very aware of where I was, where my feet were, where he was, and where the trail was. I felt like he was often looking at my feet and just very spatially aware of where I was on the trail.
Did you ever take that selfie?
We did. It wasn't quite as close to the edge as he wanted. I was standing from that photo. You can see there's a pine tree, and I was holding onto a branch of that because I was just uneasy that close to the edge. And we did take a selfie, but I held on to that tree.
Do you still have access to that selfie?
I don't.
No.
Which, of course, the defense thinks is mighty convenient because there were plenty of photos still around, but that one photo that would have shown her clinging to the tree was one that got away, one that disappeared. Gerhardt, completely different story about this. He says when he got back down and met up with Ariel again, she was acting sort of manic. And guess, of course, who wanted those photographs, those selfies? It wasn't Gerhardt, he says. It was Ariel who wanted that.
You get back. What is her demeanor and behavior like now?
Like a 180 reversal, basically. So she was like extremely apologetic and said, basically, I'm so sorry. You're right. Like, I need to take accountability and like, let's just, not ruin the day. I don't want to ruin the day. I don't want to ruin our trip. And let's keep talking about this in therapy. And she said like, I won't travel with Jeff.
Did you guys end up taking a selfie?
Yeah. First she was like, again, like almost manic, like super happy and was trying to basically, get me to be in a better mood. And she was like, I'm gonna climb this tree, take pictures of me in this tree. And so she handed me her phone and I took some pictures of her in the tree. And then after that, she said, let's take a selfie by the cliffside.
And again, it would add up if this guy was narcissistic and just didn't want to lose control. So he was trying to do all of this when it just didn't seem like it was going too well, but he just couldn't let it go. And why jump from this to attempted murder, right? Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. But what could make it make sense? A loss of control, just like Michael McKee. But he's not quite as competent as Michael McKee. Luckily for Ariel.
That was her idea.
Yes.
Okay. Did you guys take one?
We did.
So now we get to question number 6, because things are about to get dramatically worse as Ariel and Gerhardt get into a physical fight. Now, who starts it? If Ariel starts it.
Black Sheep Nation, make sure you welcome Sua in the chat here. I think she's new to the channel. Give her a warm welcome, please.
Gerhardt will say he acted in self-defense when he hit her. If Gerhardt started it, that helps the prosecution, which is trying to prove that he planned, that he intended this. So if he started the fight, it matters. Here's what Ariel had to say about how things got started between the two of them.
Everything was normal. I walked up and just kind of like brushed my hands against his shoulders, like a little hug.
As you had your hands against his shoulders, where was the defendant facing?
He was facing the cliff, facing me. My back was to the cliff, and he's facing me at the cliff.
And how far behind you was the cliff?
10 or less feet.
After this happens, after you get to where the defendant is on the trail, what happened next?
When I walk up to him, then he grabbed me really forcefully by my upper arms, and he said, "I'm so fucking sick of this. Get back over there." And he starts pushing me back towards the cliff.
While the defendant was grabbing you and pushing you, what did you do?
I mean, I was surprised. It felt almost like he was kidding at first. And I was like, "What are you doing?" And he had grabbed me really hard and was moving me. So we kind of wrestled a little bit, and I threw myself onto the ground because there's a lot of trees and shrubs there so that I could hold on.
So Gerhardt, you will not be surprised to learn, has an entirely different view of how this fight got started. Now, obviously, what he says is that Ariel started it. He didn't start it. He didn't suddenly attack her, although there is an initial touch from her to him that they both agree on.
And then I felt like a shove, and I was almost pushed over the edge.
Okay. You felt a shove. Okay. Who shoved you?
Ari did.
What did you do right after that?
Barely caught myself and turned around and looked at her and was like, "What the f was that?" Like,
okay. Turn around and it was like what like was like kind of in shock, like what the f was that?
Yes.
Okay, and then did you move towards him?
Yeah, I did. I was like, just asking her, like, what was that?
Yes, please remember to like the video while you're here. Shadow needs his Hootie snacks. Likes help me pay for them. So leave your DNA in the like button. Spank the like button if you're feeling a little bit frisky. Remember to subscribe to the channel and say hello, most importantly, to the flock of black sheep here in the live chat. Black Sheep Nation, I call them. And I go live almost every night to talk about true crime and current events a little bit after 10 p.m. Eastern. And super chats, super stickers, and becoming a channel member are great ways to support the channel. And thank you very much for everyone who's been supporting so far.
That and started walking towards her because at this point she was like 5 or 10 feet away from me.
Okay. So you walk towards her, and you mentioned when you're walking towards her, where were your hands?
Out.
Did you get close to her?
Yes, eventually, yeah.
Is she saying anything?
Not initially, but I turn around and I'm asking her, like, what the hell's, what the f just happened and what's going on. And as I'm starting to walk towards her, she starts yelling.
She starts yelling.
Yeah, help me, help me.
Okay. And then what happens?
And then I just keep walking to her, like, what are you doing?
And I get her, like, why are you screaming?
Yeah, what are you doing? And I get to her and I'm like, touching her, just putting my hands on her arms. And I was like, what are you doing? What's going on?
As you threw your...
Okay, this difference is one of the most important legally, because the question before the jury is going to be whether or not Gerhardt intentionally was attempting to murder with it's knowing an intent. Did he intend to murder Ariel? And had he been planning this, pre-planning this? That's what the prosecution is arguing. And they have really different ideas. According to Gerhardt, this just suddenly started. Ariel pushed him, and next thing you know, they were fighting. And it wasn't something that he started or that he intended. And that's one of the most important points. So the fight has begun. Now, question number 7 to be answered by what they testified to is, did Gerhardt try to throw Ariel over a cliff? And so sub-question there is, what is their positioning exactly? And we'll talk about why that's pretty important in just a minute. But Ariel says he gets on top of her and tries to throw her off the cliff. Here is what she testified to.
To the ground. How did the defendant respond?
Well, he got on top of me and he was kind of trying to pull me, and we're wrestling, and he ended up straddling me. So he had his legs on either side, kind of across my waist.
On March 24, 2025, how tall were you?
About 5'6".
And how much did you weigh on that day?
About 145 pounds.
Okay. And on that date, how tall was the defendant?
About 5'10".
And how much did he weigh?
Maybe 165 pounds.
Okay. And then you said straddling. Can you describe what that looked like for us?
Sure. I'm laying on my back and he's on top of me with kind of like one leg on either side across my waist, facing me. So he was first trying to pull me, try to get me closer to the cliff. And again, I could kind of hold on to the roots and stuff that were around us. And then he had a backpack that he was hiking with. And he, like I said, he's on top of me.
Okay, I'm going to say I have trouble visualizing that. When she says he's straddling her, I'm picturing that he's seated on her. Maybe she means he's standing, but otherwise I can't really figure out how is he both straddling her and pulling her toward the cliff. So that part of the story is a little bit confusing to me. But
how that could look is if you're like grabbing her by the arms and she's underneath you and pulling, but that doesn't sound like what she's describing. So I'm having a hard time picturing it as well.
Talk about what Gerhardt is going to say to this, because Gerhardt has a very specific problem that he needs to address in what he says here, because he needs to agree that he's on top of Ariel. And the reason he has to agree to that part of her story is because shortly after, like right at this moment, just about 2 nurses who are hiking come nearby and they come to Ariel's rescue. And one of them sees Gerhardt on top of Ariel hitting her with a rock. So as far as positioning, Gerhardt either has to be able to explain, like, yes, this is how that occurred. And
I mean, it's tough to pull off self-defense when you're on top, hitting someone with a rock. That's tough. That's a tough one.
She's correct, or has to contradict the nurse. And that makes for a difficult set of issues for the defense. Every time you contradict a witness and have something specific that's different, it creates some problems. So Gerhardt says Ariel threw herself to the ground, pulled him down on top of her while grabbing him in a painful location.
She keeps yelling, and she kind of grabs my wrists and throws herself on the ground and pulls me down with her. She's like actively holding on to me, like she has her leg like wrapped around one of my legs and like is actively holding on to me and is yelling. And so I'm trying to, get free, and I get my one arm free, and I try to use it to get my other arm free, and she grabs me by the testicles.
How hard did she grab it?
I mean, this was,
pretty hard. Did you ever, in the course of this whole thing you described so far, ever try to pull her towards, push her off, or drag her towards the cliff's edge?
No, not at all.
Obviously a real difference, right? She's saying he was dragging her toward the cliffside. She's terrified he's going to throw her off. He says that absolutely never happened. Now, Ariel does agree with part of that. She agrees that she grabbed him and hard, but her difference is she says he was trying to get her off the cliff. So question number 8 is going to be, did Gerhardt have a syringe? Because the prosecution implication, Ariel says he did, is that he has reached into his bag. He is an anesthesiologist, so he would have access to drugs that knock people out or that make them unable to move. So did he bring some of those on this hike? Is that what Ariel saw? That would indicate murderous intent and pre-planning, that he thought to have this drug with him on the hike. Why else would you have that drug in your day backpack for a hike? And Ariel says he actually had a syringe. Here's what she says happened.
And he had a syringe in his hand, and he says, hold still. And I see the syringe, and I just kind of like bat it away from us both.
When you first saw that syringe in his hand, did you actually see where it came from?
I didn't see where it came from, no.
All right. And you said you were able to bat it. Do you know where it went?
It just fell on the ground sort of near us. It was a clear syringe with a blue piece, maybe blue plunger, I guess was what that. He had taken his backpack off, and it was on the ground to his left, so kind of to the right side of my body here. And he was digging in that with his left hand, and then kind of holding me down with his right hand.
So what makes this even more frightening, frankly, her description of what exactly happened is her description of what it is that Gerhard Konig is saying to her during this time, because that creates a whole lot of information for the jury to process about what Gerhard intended with all of this. Here's what she had to say.
I'm screaming and I'm saying, what the f are you doing? Get off me. And he's saying like, you're done. I'm so sick of your, so done with you. And I'm trying to kind of protect myself and get out of there. But also.
So chat, do you think it was a case of Dr. Gerhard thinking, well, if I can't have you, nobody can? Is that what's going through his mind? Press 1 if yes and 2 if no. What do you think?
He's gripping his hand closed really hard. There's a vial in his hand. So I was trying to pry his hand open so I could grab that vial out.
Which hand did you see the vial in?
The vial was in his right hand.
And did you actually get to see the entire vial?
No. I'm screaming and he's telling me, shut the f up. Nobody's going to hear you out here. Nobody's coming to save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike. They'll know this wasn't an accident and our kids will be orphans. You'll go to jail and I'll be dead. Like, you have to stop. And again, he's saying, like, you're done. We're done with you. We don't need you anymore. You're done. You're done.
Now, obviously, that's super important for the question of intent, which the prosecution is trying to prove. They're trying to convict Gerhard on attempted murder. And so they're trying to show that he wanted to kill Ariel, that he was specifically saying that. His words were saying what he meant, which was that he wanted to make sure she died. He wasn't successful, which means she's here to testify. But that's not the point that the prosecution is trying to make. This is attempted murder that he's being prosecuted for. Now, obviously, these words are an extremely serious problem for the defense. And Gerhard just flatly denies that this happened. He flatly denies that he had a syringe. That's one of the most difficult problems for the prosecution for the defense, because if there is a syringe, that really strongly raises the question of whether or not he was planning this and he intended to inject her with something so that she would be easy to dump off the cliff and no one would know that he had murdered her.
Gerhard, did you have any syringes on the mountain that day?
No.
Did you try to poke her or stab her with any syringes?
No.
But did you mean the words you wrote in there?
I did.
So if there was no syringes, that'd be quite the fabrication for her to make that up, right? Oh, by the way, he had a syringe. Seems like a weird thing to add to the story, right? If it was untrue, why add the syringe? I mean, if you're trying to push someone off the cliff, like why buy the syringe anyway? So I don't know. I don't know why she would make that up, though.
Oh, no, I went all the way back. I totally hate it when I do that. Let's see where I was.
And he, like I said, he's on top of me.
Then
She keeps yelling. And
Tell you what, I'll look over here and find it. I hate it when that happens. So what happens, for those of you who are regulars, if you accidentally touch that little blue dot, it goes back to the beginning. So I constantly do that. I touch the little blue dot and go back to the beginning. So let me see where I was. I ought to be able to look it up over here.
He had a syringe in his hand.
Okay. And where does he say, no, he doesn't have the syringe, is right here. And it is at 15. Oh, okay, 15 minutes. There we go. So, okay, there we go. Sorry about that. All right. So what you've heard so far has started to really split apart, as you can see, and to the point where I think it's really difficult to say both could be true. Maybe there's some way that everybody saw it a little bit differently. And it's going to continue as they discuss the actual fight where Ariel gets hurt and bloodied. And there's also some indication that there's a problem. There's a photograph you'll see in just a minute for Gerhardt as well. But ultimately,
Maureen, that's a good question. We're going to go over it right now. But how could you have a vial and a syringe in each hand? That's a hard job to do when struggling with her to get the liquid into the syringe. You would have the substance already in the syringe, right? Correct. If you're going to try to do something with a syringe, you're not going to be dicking around with trying to fill the syringe on the trail. You're going to have the syringe already filled. It'd be stupid not to, right? So I would think that's, as far as I know, did she mention a vial specifically as well? I don't think she did, but I could be wrong about that.
ultimately, one thing that's clear is nobody gets stabbed with a syringe, and the law enforcement never found the syringe there. But there is a weapon, something that was just ready to hand, and they pick it up, leading us to question number 9, which is somebody grabs a rock.
Shadow's not really a fan of vaccines either, actually.
And starts hitting.
Shadow prefers natural immunity.
But who? Is it Ariel or is it Gerhardt? Now, Ariel's story, she says Gerhardt grabbed a rock or rocks. Here's what happened.
To save you. And I'm saying, like, you can't do this. Everyone knows we're on a hike.
I'm going to move it a little bit further forward. Okay.
No.
Like, it seemed like he took a deep breath and calmed down. And so I had this moment where I was like, okay, this is the break. Like, I can get out. And then he just starts hitting me with a rock.
As the defendant was on top of you, as the defendant was saying things, and as you were saying things back, were you trying to defend yourself physically at all?
Yes. And I'm screaming and trying to defend myself physically. So I think I bit his forearm.
So she's saying there's a separate thing, vial and syringe. That doesn't make much sense to me. Doesn't make much sense to me to not have the syringe already filled. Like what? I have to examine that part of testimony. I have to find it.
At one point trying to, that would have been his right forearm. And then I was also squeezing his testicles.
So Gerhardt, of course, says exactly the opposite. According to his story, instead of he picked up a rock and began hitting Ariel, Ariel is the first to grab a rock and she begins hitting Gerhardt. Here's what he says happened.
And then she hits me with a rock on the side of the face.
She's holding on to you, she's squeezing your, and you kind of dealing with that. And she's on the ground and you're kind of on top of her?
Yes.
Okay. And you said then you felt you got hit with the rock.
Yes.
Where'd you get hit?
On the left side of my face.
How many times?
She kept doing it. The first blow she landed really well, and after that I was able to block fairly well. She did like land a couple more, but not as bad as the first one.
She still got you.
Yeah.
Is this where you got hit with the rock?
Yes.
Is that the area?
Yes. I was able to wrestle the rock out of her hand.
Okay, this is important what he's saying right here, because his description needs to put the rock in his hand, because remember those 2 nurses who were hiking and who came when they heard Ariel screaming? They come up and one of them says, I saw the man, Gerhardt, with a rock in his hand and I saw him hitting the woman. I saw him hit, I think she said she saw a couple of times. And so that's something he has to explain. Why did he have the rock in his hand when the nurse came up? Now, he could just say the nurse is wrong, but that makes for a difficult defense. Instead, what he says here is he had the rock, and the reason is he wrestled it out of Ariel's hand. She was the one who had actually picked it up to start with, and now he has taken it away in the course of their fight. This is his explanation for how it happened, which leads us to question number 10. When Gerhardt hits Ariel with a rock, was it self-defense? Because that is the ultimate question here in this case. Now, Ariel says he picked up a rock, he hit me in the head, and his point was, I thought, to knock me out, and then he could drag me over, throw me off the side of the cliff, he could kill me. that was his intent.
I was screaming, and so he's covering my mouth and stuff. And then we had this moment of like, he seems like he takes a deep breath, and then he just starts hitting my face and my head with a rock. I just started screaming because in my mind, he was trying to knock me unconscious to get to be able to drag me over the edge. So I just was screaming then as much as I could. I do think I was saying something like, please help. He's trying to kill me. I'm hoping somebody can kind of hear that.
So Gerhardt says that's not what happened. She was hitting me. I grabbed the rock from her and I hit back in self-defense. And that's the primary argument being made by the defense in this case.
Scuffle over the rock?
Yes, and I finally get the rock.
What'd you do?
I hit her with the rock. I hit her 2 times.
When you did, was she still holding on to your testicles?
Yes.
At least initially?
Yeah.
Why did you hit her? Why did you react that way?
Just on instinct to defend myself.
How fast was this all happening? Pretty fast?
Pretty fast.
In between the time she hit you with the rock and when you hit her with the rock, were you able to safely retreat and get away from her?
No.
Yeah. Why not?
She was holding on to me.
Including your...
Yes.
Did you hit her in the face or the eye with the rock?
No.
Where you said 2 times, where did you hit her?
On the side of the head.
Did you continue to hit her after those 2 hits?
No.
And
I would say with a better lawyer in particular, the defense should be able to prove a reasonable doubt, perhaps, but I'm not sure if this defense lawyer is going to be cut out for it, to be honest. I would be questioning about the vial thing if I'm the defense lawyer as well. I'm like, what the fuck is that? The vial and syringe? That's a little weird.
Why not?
Because she stopped fighting. She let go of my and I was able to stand up.
And then you stopped?
Yes.
Did you stop hitting her because the witnesses showed up?
No. I didn't know that they were there until after I stood up.
Did you ever plan on hurting her that day?
No.
Did you ever want to hurt her that day?
No.
You reacted to defend yourself in the heat of that moment. You said yes?
Yes.
But did you still feel bad about it?
Yes. I felt horrified about what I did to her, like that I caused this to her, that I had resorted to violence against my wife, the person who I loved the most in the world.
In that moment, were you defending yourself when you reacted that way?
So as you...
And he said, yes. I think I cut it off a little bit. But we now go to question number 11, the final one. Did Gerhardt let her walk away? And that both sides are we're back to agreement now. Ariel and Gerhardt are going to agree on this, and I'll talk about why it's important legally from Gerhardt's point of view from the defense. Here's what Ariel says.
Walked away. Did you see what the defendant did?
He just, like I said, he seemed frozen. He just kind of stood up and was staring. And then I didn't see where he went after that. He didn't follow me when I went down to those women.
Did you see?
Now, that is what Gerhardt says as well. The first words that I just cut off are, did you see her?
See her kind of scoot down towards the witnesses?
Yes.
Did you try to stop her in any way?
No.
Now, the reason that matters, we'll go ahead and pull that out so we can talk a little more. The reason that matters is the defense is saying that he did nothing to stop her from going because he wasn't the aggressor. She was the one who was the aggressor. And he was just acting in self-defense. When there was no more threat to him, he stopped. He didn't continue to pursue her. He didn't chase her down.
And by the way, this is Lawyer Lee, for anyone who doesn't know. Go support her work, please. Remember to like my video here too as well. Likes help pay for Shadow the Night Owl's Hootie Snacks. Leave your DNA in the like button. Maybe spank the like button if you're feeling a little bit frisky. And remember to say hello to the flock of black sheep in the live chat here. Black Sheep Nation, they call it.
On the mountainside, he didn't attack the hikers who were rescuing her. He let that happen because this was just self-defense. That's why that's important. It all comes down to what the jury thinks of Ariel versus Gerhardt, and they're 2 radically different stories. Now, both sides have tried to bolster those stories with evidence that would support that would make it more likely that Ariel is right or that Gerhardt is right. I did an earlier video about the son, Emil. Gerhardt's son, not Ariel's son, she's just a stepmother to him, but talked about how the prosecution is using his testimony that his dad called him up and confessed. And he now lives with his stepmother, Ariel. They are very close. And at the same time, he no longer speaks to his father, Gerhardt. Very interesting testimony and so important because he's saying, Gerhardt confessed to me. My dad called me and told me he had tried to kill Ariel. Very important testimony. Now, that's not the only kind of testimony. As I mentioned earlier in this video, the state also has put in testimony from a couple of nurses who were hiking on the trail that day and heard Ariel yelling to rescue her, helped her down the mountain. And there was some electronic evidence too. Now, the defense put on a restaurant owner to confirm that Gerhardt had made dinner reservations that night to suggest that he must not have intended to kill her. He thought they were going out to dinner that night. They also put on a pathologist to talk about Ariel's injuries and to say they really were not that big a deal and did not fit with her description of Gerhardt repeatedly hitting her in the head as hard as he could with this rock. The jury is going to have to put all of that information into the hopper and come out with a decision. Somebody is lying. I don't see any way they can both be true or be reconciled. Is it Ariel?
Now, I'll do my JD lawyer explains impersonation. That was a Captain Obvious thing to say, Lawyer Lee. Of course one of them is lying.
Or is it Gerhardt? That is what they're going to have to decide. One way, Gerhardt goes to prison, and the other way, maybe it is self-defense. That's what the jury is going to have to decide. Clearly, something terrible happened on that mountain trail. So the question for them is not, did something bad happen, but what kind of case is this? Is this a planned attempt to kill someone? Calculated steps like choosing the hike, making sure they were alone, bringing a syringe, or is this just a fight that turned violent? It was chaotic, emotional, it got out of control in just a matter of seconds. So legally speaking, those are two different things. And those are the two approaches the two sides are taking. The jury is going to have to pick one. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments below. You can just write Ariel, you can write Gerhardt, spell them any way you want. I think they're both hard to spell. And maybe it's somewhere in between. Put that if that's how you're feeling about it right now. Okay, well, let's do a few questions. And if you have a question, if you would put question marks at the beginning, that will help me spot it in here. I have some folks to thank too. Shy Gal is a new member. We are so glad to have you, Shy Gal. Thank you. And Laza became a member all the way back in the Richard Allen trial. Thank you. Much appreciated. Nate Dogg is a new member. Welcome. Glad to have you.
Do I know Nate Dogg? I think Nate Dogg's been in this chat. No? Let's see how many traders I have. No, I'm not traders. I tell people to support the people we watch. Let's see who else she has there.
Gringa felt like his chatty Cathy testimony was too much. There were a lot of complaints about.
Gringa? Is that the feminine of Gringo?
About sort of the way the lawyers have handled it, about the excitement or lack thereof during all the testimony, as well as the amount of talking everybody did. And Gringa also makes a comment that he had not told anyone she was the attacker until trial. I honestly don't know. You're probably right about that. I just don't have that information. Daisy Go is, thank you for the super chat. Let's head over, and I'm going to see if I can find some question marks at the beginning without going too far back. Beechnut is asking about the makeup of the jury and about Hawaiian culture and beliefs on infidelity. Great question. I cannot answer that, but it is a really interesting question. I don't know what their views on that would be. Kitty wants to ask me, I won't mispronounce your last name, Kitty, about why she grabbed him by the testicles instead of his arms. Maybe she did both, or maybe she just felt like that was the most effective. And let's see, make a poll, says Betsy Sue. I am tempted to do that because I'm really curious what y'all think, but it goes so to the heart of the question of the case that I think I'll wait. I always worry about doing anything that might influence or bias the jury. I know they aren't supposed to be on social media. I know they aren't supposed to be watching this video. I just don't ever want to have anything to do with tampering with what the jury otherwise would do.
Understandable, Lawyer Lee. Understandable. But again, make sure you like the video, folks. Likes are free, as I always say. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Now, JD says this is where the defense's case falls apart. So let's see if we agree.
The direct exam of Dr. not Dr. Kevorkian, Dr. Konig was
a Freudian slip there or a joke?
Was actually pretty bad, but the cross-examination was even worse, I think. Stay with me. I'll share you why I think that. Hi, Tony DeWitt here. Formerly, I was a Missouri attorney in active practice. Then I retired. Then I unretired and started a YouTube channel. And I bring you all kinds of stuff about trials and the law. So no legal advice is given, but stay tuned. This is what we're talking about today. This is Hawaii versus Gerhard Konig, MD. According to prosecutors, this was a calculated and escalating attack, starting with an attempt to push Ariel Konig off of a cliff, followed by attempting to use a syringe and vial, and ending with a brutal assault using a rock. 2 eyewitnesses say that they saw the defendant on top of his wife, striking her as she cried out for help. The state has charged him with attempted murder, but the defense tells a completely different story. They argue this was not attempted murder, but a chaotic and emotional confrontation fueled by a failing marriage, allegations of infidelity, and a physical altercation that spiraled out of control. Their theme: unfaithful, unwilling, and untrue. One of the things that probably I would say 99% of men and women who discover that someone they have been married to is engaged in an affair, one of the chief emotions you have is anger. How could they do this to you? How could they throw away 5, 10, 15, 16 years of marriage for something like that? You know, it doesn't make any sense. You're angry, you're upset. And it's not just a matter of being, you know, a little perturbed. You're fuming if that happens. And you may very well be able to control that emotion. But to say that you are not angry about it, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
You still wanted Ariel to have sex with you after you called her a lying bitch, right?
We had sex in December, and that was after we had that conversation. Yes.
I'm sorry, but when you call someone a name like that, that's clearly an indication that you are angry, that you are mad. There's no reason to make that charge that you are a lying whatever if you are, in fact, calm and rational. I think what you do then is you say, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. I don't believe you. I believe you're lying to me. But you don't have to add pejoratives like the one he added. And I apologize for including it. I usually try to keep that kind of stuff down to a minimum, but it's important for context here, okay? It doesn't make sense to me that he's saying he wasn't angry in another section of this video. When he's
in another section, he said that he wasn't angry. He kind of contradicted himself in the testimony. He had said, the prosecutor said, were you upset? And he said, I would characterize how I felt. One of the emotions was upset, but it wasn't the main emotion. And then he said, were you angry? No, was not angry, he said. And we went over this earlier. And then he went on to say he was upset. So.
Calling her those names. And the idea that there's a disconnect there doesn't occur to him. And the reason it doesn't occur to him is because he's making this stuff up as he goes along.
You were upset that Ariel was still talking to Gianna about you, right?
No.
You testified yesterday that you were upset that Gianna called you a monster, right?
I was upset. Well, that made me suspicious of how Ari was characterizing both the affair and our relationship at the time to Gianna.
And this is after you wanted to have Ariel move out of the house away from her kids, right?
Actually, this was during. At the time that she made that comment, we were in an argument where I was asking her to move out.
At the time she made that comment. Is this the argument you mentioned on December 26, 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
That went into December 27th.
The argument went into December 27th?
Yes.
Now, does that make any sense to you? An argument that goes from December 26th through December 27th, you're not angry? Why do you keep arguing then? That doesn't make any sense. These statements that he makes are untethered to any rational emotion, any rational response to a really awful situation.
So here's the thing. Why would he lie about being angry? Does he think being angry makes it look like he has a motive to do it? And so that's why he's refusing to admit anger? I don't know. But chat, what else do you think? What are the other reasons why he would be hesitant to say he's angry? Let me know. This is a open-ended question.
And so I'm having trouble understanding who he thinks he's convincing here.
So this argument happens. You're still mad, right?
And again, I wouldn't characterize my emotion as mad. Whenever we talked, I was certainly upset, but not mad.
That statement is so lacking in credibility that I'm surprised he made it. And I would bet that his defense attorney is just panicking over there because he keeps contradicting himself. Upset, mad, but he's not mad. It just goes on for 2 days. What the heck?
Well, on December 5th, 2024, you actually purchased what's called a Sales Navigator Core account on LinkedIn. Is that right?
Yes, I signed up for a free trial of that feature of the LinkedIn account, specifically to get access to Andrea Miller's email account or email address.
So you signed up to find Andrea Miller's email address, right?
Yes, I did.
And you found her email address, correct?
Yes.
And on December 6, 2024, at 8:24 a.m. Hawaii time, you sent an email to Andrea Miller, correct?
I don't remember the exact date or time, but that sounds right. And yes, I did email her.
We'll put States Exhibit 108 already in evidence up onto the screen. This is the email you sent to Andrea Miller, correct?
That's correct.
You sent it on December 6, 2024 at 8:24 a.m. Is that right?
That's right.
And the address too is...
Hi, Andrea. I am very sorry to contact you, but I don't know what else to do. I would want you to do the same for me, even though I don't know you. Oh my goodness. Your husband, Jeff, and my wife, Ariel, have been having an inappropriate relationship that they have been deliberately hiding from us. They are co-workers, I just found out. Confronted my wife with it, and she confirmed it. Again, I don't know how else to say this, but I would want to know, so I am telling you. My number is not even blocked out. If you would like to speak with me, or you can email me at blah, 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 blah. My wife's number is blah, 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 and her email is whatever. I have not reached out to Jeff. I wanted to tell you first. It seems it has been primarily on WhatsApp, and my wife has been deleting most of the messages. Deleting messages is a sign for sure, but I can share with you what I have if you would like. I am sorry. I feel like the only appropriate way to address this is to have it out in the open. I sincerely wish the best for you and your family. Dr. Konig. What do you think about that, chat?
The email address that you found from Andrea Miller from LinkedIn, correct?
Yes.
That's her work email address, right?
I don't know.
Kyndryl is a financial services company, correct?
I don't know.
And in that email, you testified yesterday that the purpose of this email was simply to let Miss Miller know what's happening. Is that
So that was the wife of the man that Ariel was having the emotional affair with, if not real affair, right? Let's be honest here. So he wanted to let the wife know of the man Ariel was having the emotional affair with. So he sent her that entire message on LinkedIn because that's what he would want someone to do for him, as he said. And I mean, chat, what would you do in that circumstance? You find out your wife or your husband is cheating on you. Would you reach out to their husband or wife to tell them? What would you do? Press 1 if you think you would do the same. You would reach out to them and tell them, hey, my partner is getting with your partner. Or 2, you would say, nah, I'm just going to let it go. So press 1 if you would do something and reach out. Press 2 if you wouldn't. Lindsay, welcome. I knew Kat would say 1.
right?
That's correct.
And at the start of this email, that's what you do, right? You tell her about what you think about Jeff and Ariel, and you call it an inappropriate relationship, right?
Yes, that's how I describe it.
You didn't call it an affair, right?
I did not.
You didn't call it an emotional affair, right?
I did not.
You just called it inappropriate relationship.
That's right.
And then you provided her your phone number, is that right?
Yes.
You provided her your email, correct?
Yes.
And those are your contact information, so you're free to provide those things, right?
Yes.
And then you provided her with Ariel's phone number and email, correct?
That's correct.
You provided her with Ariel's cell number, is that right?
That's right.
And Ariel's personal email, correct?
Yes.
You provided that because you wanted Andrea Miller to contact Ariel, didn't you?
I just wanted her to have the option of contacting all of us and talking to all of us and getting all of the information from as many people as possible so she could make a decision about what she wanted to do with this information with her family.
The only purpose for including Ariel's contact information is so that she can contact Ariel. Isn't that right?
That's right.
And you wanted Andrea Miller to contact Ariel to yell at her, right?
That's not true.
You wanted Andrea Miller to contact Ariel to humiliate and punish Ariel. Isn't that right?
That is absolutely not true.
I imagine at this point, the doctor is thinking, boy, it was really stupid to do those things if I was planning to throw my wife off a cliff or hit her in the head with a rock or whatever he was thinking about doing. That does not make sense. That answer does not make sense. I mean, clearly he knows how women react to somebody treading on, their hallowed ground, so to speak. And he expected her to call her and rant and rave.
I mean, I think he wanted to give that option, right? He wanted to, if she so chose that option, okay. But I wanted to make sure she had that choice, right? Maybe that's what I would say if I was him on the stand with that. I'm not sure I'd say it's as cut and dry as he is saying here.
But of course, there was nothing going on other than basic work emails that he found suspicious. And the problem with that is that, well, as you'll see in a second, it didn't quite work out the way he planned.
You offered Andrea Miller the text messages, correct?
I did. All right. I don't know if I did or not. I don't think I offered it to her. I just said
I just said I can share with you what I have if you would like.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I did.
You also sent Miss Miller a contact request through LinkedIn directly, correct?
That's correct.
Andrea Miller never replied to your emails, isn't that right? That's right. Andrea Miller never replied to you on LinkedIn, isn't that right? That's right.
So, like I said, it didn't work out for him the way he thought it was going to work out for him. And that pretty much explains, in some ways, how irrational he was about this supposed affair, which was no more than some flirty text messages. Because clearly, the wife of the man that she was texting didn't see anything wrong with the relationship and believed that it was appropriate. If otherwise, she would have done something about it. She would have responded to the email. She probably just trashed it.
That's it. Yep. Okay. And you purchased these on the same day, although you purchased the second one later in the afternoon at around 2 p.m., correct? Yes, that's what it looks like. Yep. Okay. 2 books with exactly the same name, right? Yes. That could get confusing if you want to talk about them, right? Yes. Take the exhibit down. This book, How to Help Your Spouse Heal from Your Affair. That's directed at the wayward partner, correct? Yes.
Now, remember this answer because he waffles on it a little later on.
It's directions on the quote, cheating person that they have to follow, correct?
Well, I mean, it goes into.
I think my personal assessment is some of that stuff, he was taking a personal pleasure in having the upper hand in it. So he wanted to kind of smear her a little bit in the process. Oh, how to handle the cheating partner's actions or blah, 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 right? So he's kind of trying to humiliate her a little bit. It's kind of a little bit of a way to get revenge and be vindictive. That's the sense that I get.
Everything that needs to be done, but and it does it in a way that it explains why those things need to be done. So it was very helpful for me to read as well, because I understood all that needed to be done to kind of fix the relationship.
I want to see in that book where it says you should throw your wife off a cliff, because I kind of think that might not be in there.
And it does talk about some things that the other spouse has to do as well, but it's primarily focused on what the cheating spouse has to do.
So in your mind, this book is primarily geared towards Ariel, but you just wanted to read it too, correct?
No, like I said, the book describes very well what needs to happen after an affair, and
so he would like this book because he would be able to control the partner with the book. See, if you really want to make amends, you would do what's said in this book, right? Because the book is aimed at the people that did the cheating. I can see what he would be doing with it. Now, it's kind of stupid. I mean, it's dumb. I mean, if a woman cheats on me and we don't have like an arrangement of sorts, it's like, no, I'm done. I'm gone, baby, gone.
This line of questioning clearly has him rattled. You see how he's stammering as he goes through this, because he's in the back of his mind, he's trying to figure out how to make this positive. So instead of saying what he admitted earlier, that, yeah, this book was primarily for the cheating spouse, now he's backtracking and saying, well, no, I didn't buy it for her. You know, I bought it for us because I was thinking of us. This man has the emotional intelligence of a toad.
The vast majority of
if I didn't know any better, I would think JD, A Lawyer Explains, doesn't like this guy.
What needs to be done in the initial stages is by the cheating spouse, but it does go into what the other person has to do, and it's geared for both partners. The title is How to Help Your Spouse Heal from the Affair, but the contents of the book is for both parties.
Now, that last part, that may be factual. In fact, that may be part of what the author intended. But in terms of his motivation for buying it, basically it was to force his wife to make some changes. The medical diagnosis here is control freak.
And then you and Ariel head out in your rental car up to the Palipuca. Is that right?
That's right.
You
And remember, folks, what kinds of people are all about control? Narcissistic people, all about control.
drive up the Pali Highway, right?
Yes.
And you park in the parking lot at the Pali Lookout, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And you knew from your research into this hike that 99% of the people up at that lookout would not be going on the trail, correct?
Yeah, I didn't know the actual amount, but I knew the lookout was popular and the hike was less popular.
And that actually said 99% versus 1%, right?
Where did what say? The Journey Ear article. Oh yeah, that did say that.
Oh yeah, it did say that. No big deal. Just a little more dangerous. 99% of the people won't go on it. There'll only be 1% of the people who visit that go on the hike. Wow, that would be a perfect site if you wanted to do something and not be observed, wouldn't it? Because 99% of the people are going to be down at the lookout and you're going to be on the trail, hidden by brush and woods and all kinds of stuff. Gosh, I wonder why he chose that hike.
The website even told you, does that make the hike dangerous? You decide. Is that right?
No, the website, when the website said that, it was talking about the trail being next to a cliff, not the trail being some isolated, secluded spot that there's no people.
And if you give somebody the chance, they will out themselves. And that's exactly what happened here. He asked him not about the seclusion offered by the hike, but by the danger offered by the hike. And he freely admits that it's by a cliff. Again, he is focused on trying to best the prosecutor. And as a result of that, he isn't listening to the questions and he's framing his answers as to the answers he wants to give. He just said it wasn't related to it being secluded. Well, that wasn't the question that was asked, was it?
The website said you decide if the trail is dangerous, correct?
No, the website said specifically, it's not dangerous if you stay on the trail, but if you don't stay on the trail, you might fall off the cliff. Is that dangerous? You decide.
And you saw that cliff, right?
I did. On the picture.
And you saw that cliff was at minimum several hundred feet high, correct?
Yes.
You know, common sense tells you somebody falls off that cliff, they're going to die, right?
That's correct.
I have to say that the prosecutor is doing a very good job of keeping him off balance and not responding to things that were clearly intended to distract him from his line of questioning. Now, if I had been the prosecutor, I would have followed up on a "that was not my question" type thing instead of going on to what I had planned in my outline. And it may be a case of the prosecutor not listening to the answer as closely as he should have. But at any rate, he keeps him off balance by moving to different things. Generally, I thought this was a pretty fair cross-examination of the witness by the prosecutor. And he's getting stuff.
Now, I mean, I'm not sure if I agree with him on this part of it here either, because, okay, it's a cliff. Is that where you would take someone if you wanted to try to kill them? Possibly. But just because you do that isn't a guarantee, right? So if I'm the defense, that's what I would try to say. It's like, okay, like you want to go for a scenic thing, and sometimes to be adventurous, you do this. That's what I would say if I'm the defense.
That I hope he will use in his closing arguments. So that's what I have for you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you being here today. And especially if you have subscribed, that means a lot to me. If you have the opportunity today, try to do just one kind thing to help somebody else. Doesn't have to be a big thing. Any kind thing will do. Buy somebody a Coke, get them a cup of coffee, hold open a door for somebody struggling with a package, or even better, overtip your waitress or waiter if you eat out. Those kinds of things make their day brighter, and you may find yourself noticing other people when they do kind things for you. That would be a way to help make the world a better place. Because after all, isn't that what we're all after? I'm going to drop my email address up here in the event you have a comment or some suggestions to make. I'd appreciate it if you'd send them to me. Always enjoy getting something that says video request, because
Did an anesthesiologist from Hawaii call up his teenage son and confess to attempted murder? A jury will soon be deciding exactly that. If the jury believes the son, it is all over for Gerhardt Konig. No one else was present on a Hawaii cliffside when Ariel Konig says her husband tried to kill her. That makes it a he said, she said case, and those are difficult for prosecutors to prove. Ariel says Gerhardt tried to push her off the cliff and then beat her in the head with a rock. He says it was just a fight. She started it, and she's exaggerating. But the prosecutors have now put in new evidence that Gerhardt Konig FaceTimed his son right after it happened. That's huge. And what that son says his father told him may be the most devastating evidence in the entire trial.
I would say it's not very good for the defense. But please remember to like the video. Likes are free. I'm looking at you out there, people that haven't liked the video but are still lingering. And subscribe to the channel too. And most importantly, say hello to the flock of black sheep here in the live chat. Great group of people here.
Gerhardt and Ariel Konig lived in Hawaii. Gerhardt is a 47-year-old anesthesiologist. Ariel, 10 years younger, is a nuclear engineer. It was Ariel's birthday. So Gerhardt took her to another of the Hawaiian Islands, and they were planning a hike along a spectacular trail. But prosecutors say things were not well between them and had not been for quite some time. Now, Ariel says, and this is the prosecution case, Gerhardt took me on a trip and a hike along a steep cliff for my birthday, but it made me really nervous. He then went nuts and he tried to push me over the cliff. He reached in his bag and pulled out a syringe. I fought so he wouldn't inject me. I knocked it away, and then he picked up a rock and he hit me with it repeatedly on the head. Now, he says she started a physical fight. I responded with a rock. I hit her twice. I'm sorry about that, but it wasn't really all that bad. She is just using this to get money from me in a divorce between us. Now, the prosecution is looking for tiebreakers to take it out of the just a fight and put it in the attempted murder. And what they're doing is looking for ways to keep it from being just he said, she said. What is other evidence that could come alongside and support Ariel's story? And there are several ways we can get into others of those in more videos, but most important by far is Gerhardt Konig's own son. Let's set this up with what both sides promised in opening statements. It's explosive, frankly, what this young man says. The prosecution says Gerhardt Konig called his 17 or 18, I couldn't find the exact number, year-old son, not once, but twice from the scene of the crime and confessed to his son as to what he had just.
I tried to kill Ari, but she got away. That's what the defendant tells Emil. He doesn't just tell Emil that he tried to kill Ariel, though. He tells her why. The defendant tells Emil she's been cheating on me for the last 3 months, for the last several months. He gives his motive to Emil, and he explains his reasoning. He even tells Emil, I'm at the end of my rope.
In both calls, according to the prosecution and the son, Gerhardt tells his son he's going to unalive himself. He's so distraught over all that has just happened. It is a horrible event any way you cut it. I mean, for our purposes, we're going to talk about legally the effect of it and why it's so brutal for the defense to try to deal with it. But there are so many ramifications well past just the legal effect of all this.
And by the way, people in the chat talking about recording people, if you're going to record an abusive person, you have to make sure you're in a right to record state, because if not, it can backfire in your face.
It's so bad, in fact, legally, that the defense has tried to get ahead of this enormous problem in opening statement. Here's what they said in opening statement.
And let me get one thing straight from the start. He never, ever confessed to his son on that phone call. The evidence will show that's not true. The evidence will show he never confessed to his son. I'm going to talk more about that later. That's what the evidence will show. He calls Emil, and you'll hear. It was an incredibly emotional phone call. He was calling him to say goodbye. He was calling him
to tell him he was sorry. He was calling him to tell him that he wished he was a better man. And he'll tell you, he feels terrible about putting his son in that position. He'll tell you he never should have done that, but that was the emotional state he was in at the time. He never in that conversation confessed about my goal was to kill your mom, but she got away. He never said that. He talked about what happened. He talked about how he hurt her. He never said those things. Not that way. Not that way.
I want to talk about 4 reasons why this is so devastating for the defense, legally speaking. And the first is because of what it is that email says Gerhard Konig said in those FaceTime calls. It's the actual fact of what is supposedly communicated during these calls. Now, one point before we even get to what exactly the words were and what he says, Gerhard said, I want to point out something very powerful that is going on in this testimony. And that is that Emil, the son of Gerhard, is refusing to call him dad. He calls him defendant. Only twice in the entire testimony did he call him dad. And that is frankly really hard to do when you have grown up for your entire life calling someone dad. To call them by a different name, it's significant and it's powerful just in and of itself. It speaks volumes about what has happened between them, about Emil's feelings about his dad and about what his dad has done. And it will absolutely communicate to the jury. I guarantee you they have not missed that. So let's look specifically at what Emil testified about. As a little background, this all came out of the blue for him. On the morning of the incident, the family members, he said, have been getting happy text messages in a group chat that they are all talking about this fun experience. Ariel has sent out a picture of her beside this cliff. Things seem really positive and really good. The hike looks like it's a beautiful place.
Sending you pictures of the hike they were on, yes?
Yes.
And at least at that time, everything seemed normal to you, correct?
Correct.
There was no reason to be concerned at that time, correct?
Correct.
But all of that dramatically changed when Emil suddenly got a FaceTime video call from his dad. Now, Gerhard is outside at this idyllic setting next to some cliffs. But what he has to say is not at all idyllic.
What did the defendant tell you during that call, as close to word for word as you can remember?
That he would not be making it back to Maui and to take good care of the younger kids, and that Ari, my stepmom, had been cheating on him and that he tried to kill her.
That's a lot, but I'm going to break that down a little bit. You said the defendant told you he tried to kill Ariel. Is that right?
Correct.
Did he tell you what happened to Ariel?
He did not.
Did he tell you where she went?
No.
Did the defendant tell you why he tried to kill Ariel?
No.
During this 10:42 a.m. call, did the defendant tell you anything about what he planned to do next?
During that call, the next plan that he said was to jump off the cliff.
And how did you react to hearing that?
Told him not to.
Did he say where Ariel went?
No, just away.
What did he say about Ariel and away?
He said that she had gotten away, and that was all I heard about her location. I asked what was on his shirt because it looked like I saw splatters of something on his shirt, and he said, "Oh, it's just her," meaning Ari's blood.
So far you've told us that the defendant told you he tried to kill Ariel, that Ariel got away, that Ariel was cheating on him, that he planned to jump, and that the blood on the shirt he's told you was Ariel's. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, Emil is very understandably upset after all of this. His girlfriend and he walked it's just a 1 minute away, walked the 1 minute to his grandparents' house. Now, these are not technically Emil's grandparents. These are Ariel's parents. And Emil is not Ariel's child. He has been living with Gerhard and with Ariel for quite some time, but technically she is not his mother. His mother lives back in the States. But obviously, Emil feels part of her family enough that when he's upset, the place he goes is to Ariel's parents' house. And the grandmother, Emil's grandmother, as he considers her, will testify that Ariel begins to break down as he tells them about this call that he just got from his father. Meanwhile, the grandparents, Ariel's parents, get a call from the hospital telling them that Ariel is there in the hospital. So they head out to be with Ariel. And about an hour after that first call, Emil gets a second call from his dad, Gerhard.
He asked me if I had told anybody, and I said yes, and I told him who I had told. And then he said that he was just going to jump, and said that a couple times.
Okay. To be super exact here, Emil, who did you tell the defendant that you told?
I told that I told my grandparents and my mother.
Okay. How did the second call end?
With him saying, with the defendant saying, I'm going to go before the police catch me.
Could you clarify what the defendant told you about the police?
That he was, that the police was looking for him. He didn't want to be found.
Did the defendant tell you anything else about his state of mind or what he was thinking?
He said he was at the end of his rope.
Anything else you can remember about that?
Thought about for the last couple months for the months leading to the 24th.
This is terrible news for the defense. Gerhard admitted to his own son that he tried to kill Ariel, admitted this, and talked about what his intent was. He was trying to kill her. It's also important for
And again, that's going to be a big one for the defense to overcome. I don't know how they will.
Premeditation. It's not direct evidence that he premeditated, that he planned to hurt or to harm Ariel, but there is a sense in there that he's been upset for a while. He's been contemplating what he was going to do, at least personally, for months, he said. And that undercuts this is just a sudden fight defense. Now, there are more reasons, though, not just what the testimony said, but more reasons that make this particularly difficult for the defense to deal with. A second reason is not just what it is that Emil says, but who it is who is saying this. This is the defendant, Gerhard's own child. This is not Ariel's child even, but he's coming in and speaking on Ariel's side against his father and won't even call his father dad. He now lives with the stepmom, Ariel. He has come to trial with her parents. He calls them his grandparents. He had the option to go back to the States to live with his mother. He chose instead to live with Ariel.
And that's a big one too, to choose to live with Ariel. I mean, but where is the father right now? Is he in custody during all of this? Or is he out on bond? I don't even know the answer to that. Chat, do you know the answer to that?
Now, usually you would expect a child to come into court and be biased in favor of the parent. You could discount it if a child comes in and testifies for the father. Well, yeah, of course, they're biased it's their dad. Of course they would say that. But when a child takes the opposite view that's not coming straight out of bias, that's pretty powerful. And it is not like they had a broken relationship beforehand. So this is just a continuation of that. Remember that Emil was living with Gerhard and with Ariel. And Gerhard chose to call Emil, of all people. He could have called someone else, but he didn't. He called Emil. The fact that Emil sees this as the moment that broke the relationship tells the jury something more powerfully than the words Emil is saying his father said. It says Emil believes his father is in the wrong, so much so that this has ended and broken their relationship. Now, the third reason I think that this is such a devastating testimony for the defense is that putting Emil in the middle of this horrible situation, calling him when Gerhard was considering unaliving himself, Telling his son he was about to do this reflects poorly on Gerhardt as a person and on his judgment as well.
It doesn't speak well. I mean, the fact that he chose to live with the woman that his father is accused of attempting to kill, also not good for the defense.
Either call, were you the one to dial him up?
No.
Right, Emil, overall, did you choose to get involved in this?
I did not.
And you?
The defense is fully aware of how bad this looks and what a problem it's going to be with the jury. And they tried to address that up front in the opening statement.
He'll tell you, he feels terrible about putting his son in that position. He'll tell you he never should have done that, but that was the emotional state he was in at the time.
But there is no real way to fully escape this. This is just not what a parent should do to a child. It's the opposite of protecting the child. You hope, I hope, that one day Emil will be able to forgive his father, but he is justified in being angry about what happened. This was a terrible thing to do. And unfortunately for Gerhardt, the jury is not going to forget about this. It may not be enough to sway them. It may not in and of itself be something that changes what the verdict would be, but it creates a real problem for the defense because of the way it portrays Gerhardt Konig. And when you are on trial for a case as serious as this, for a charge as important as this, what the jury thinks about you really does matter. Now, the fourth reason this is so devastating for the defense case is that it makes it really difficult to defend Gerhardt Konig. They cannot afford to be too aggressive with the son. This is the son of the defendant. The dad has already put him through a hellacious experience. If the defense lawyer gets aggressive with him, the jury is definitely going to be upset about that. And for that matter, what is there to be really aggressive about anyway? Emil is just saying what he remembers, and it's the same as what he said at the time, as what he said to law enforcement when he was interviewed. So the defense tries several things. One is they try suggesting maybe this is just a misunderstanding. They have said up front that Gerhardt is going to testify, so they're leaving room for that, for him to come and to explain this. But they seem to be sort of suggesting, arguing that maybe Gerhardt was really upset, maybe the son was really upset, maybe the communication just wasn't that great given the emotion around the situation. So Emil pushed back hard on the idea that Gerhardt was all that upset.
You could tell that your dad was distressed when he was talking to you, yes?
No.
Okay. Do you remember you gave later the day of these calls, you talked to the detective on Maui. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. And you remember telling the detective that your dad sounded like he was kind of distressed, trying to stay calm, but kind of distressed? Remember saying that to the detective?
No.
You can see here that Emil is sort of pushing back on the idea that this would be something where his dad was distressed. They refresh his recollection with what he said at the time to the detective. But honestly, that really isn't even necessary. It's totally apparent to anyone that this is going to be an incredibly high stress situation, regardless of whether Gerhardt intended it or didn't intend it. It is in and of itself incredibly high stress. So yes, he's going to be distressed. It's not hard to imagine that that would be the case. Here's how that turned out.
Remember saying that to the detective?
Yes.
Okay. But as you sit here today, you don't have a recollection of him sounding distressed. Is that right?
Didn't sound distressed.
Okay. But you did tell the detective it sounded like he was kind of distressed, right?
And then I said afterwards, he sounded calm.
Yeah, you said it sounded like he was kind of distressed, but trying to stay calm. And he did sound calm. That's what you said, right?
Correct.
He's having this call with you. He's right on the edge of what looked like a steep cliff, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he's telling you he was going to jump, yes?
Yes.
You see blood on your dad's shirt, yes?
Correct.
And he tells you that this was Ariel's blood, yes?
Yes.
And he told you that he was explaining to you about how Ariel had been cheating on him for a couple of months, yes?
Yes.
And he told you that the blood was from her head, correct?
Correct.
They also argue, the defense does, that it wasn't just Gerhardt under stress, it was also Emil, which is fairly obvious. This is something he would be incredibly stressful. He's a teenager and he gets this call from his father saying that has just attempted to kill the stepmother and that he's now going to jump. Like, of course, Emil is going to be upset.
And I'm sure it was a pretty emotional, upsetting call, yes?
Yes.
And it was also a little confusing to you. You're trying to kind of piece together and make sense of what happened, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And also trying to convince him not to jump, correct?
Correct.
The defense, I think, makes a good point. Maybe Emil doesn't remember the exact words. He was under stress. Gerhardt was under stress. There could be misunderstandings. The problem, though, the difficulty for the defense is how specific this memory and this testimony are. Because it's not just, he called me, it's he called me and said he tried to kill Ariel, but she got away. That's really specific. It's shocking. It is unforgettable. It's not something that you can easily imagine being explained by stress. And that's going to be a problem for the defense as they try to appeal to the jury. In a battle of credibility, this is a very difficult case for the defense, given what the son has just testified about. Now, the next thing that the defense tried was arguing bias, that the fact that the son had stayed with Ariel and lives with her was something that meant he had to be on her side because he needed her. He needed her to be on his side so he could stay in Hawaii, so he could stay with his girlfriend, so he could keep his job.
You chose to move to Maui to be with your dad and Ariel, yes?
Yes.
And so by the time we get to 2025, how long had you been on Maui, roughly?
2 years at that point.
Okay. You had a girlfriend at the time, yes?
I did.
You had made friends on Maui, yes?
I did.
Your two younger brothers were there, yes?
Yes.
You had a job on Maui in March of 2025?
I did.
What kind of job?
I worked at Chick-fil-A at the time.
Were you going to school?
I was not.
Okay. And you liked it on Maui, right?
Yes.
So your options were to stay in Pittsburgh with your mom. You could have done that, right?
Yes.
Jessica, right? If you you could have stayed in Pittsburgh with her if you chose to, right?
Correct.
Or you could come back to Maui, where your friends were and your girlfriend was, but to do that you would have to live with Ariel, right? To come back to Maui, you could come back to Maui and live with Ariel, right?
It was an option, yes.
Yeah, it was an option. And over the last year, since this incident, you have continued to live with Ariel, correct?
Yes.
You also would see Ariel's parents, Judy and Pete, regularly over the last year, correct?
Correct.
And you refer to them as your grandparents, yes?
Yes.
They came with you to court today, yes?
Yes.
Emil denied it, that he was separated and not seeing his dad's family as much, although the statistics sounded like he'd only seen them twice in the last year. But it was clear straight up that he was not seeing his father at all.
And you have not spoken to your dad since the incident, correct?
Correct.
The problem with this argument, because the defense is right, this does show a connection with Ariel's side and disconnection with the dad's side. But the problem is it could cut either way. Granted, it could be.
Now, this is what JD was saying was a terrible thing. Like, it's just a good way to alienate the jury. Lawyer Lee here has a little bit more of a nuanced take than JD lawyer explains.
Just that he favors Ariel because he needs a place to stay. But it also could be that he stayed with Ariel and separated from his dad so completely because he believed Ariel was right and his dad was wrong, because he believed his dad had done something terrible to him and had also tried to kill Ariel. So it is a really complex argument that the jury could take either direction. Now, the next thing the defense tried was arguing that Emil really didn't fully recall what had happened and exactly what was said in the course of the conversation with his dad.
You initially told the detectives that your dad told you he tried to kill Ariel by pushing her off a cliff. You remember initially saying that to the detective?
Yes.
So when you initially told the detective, my dad told me he tried to kill Ariel by pushing her off a cliff, that's what you assumed your dad had meant, correct? You clarified and you said the part about pushing her off the cliff was what you assumed he meant, not what he had actually said, correct?
Yes, correct.
It is a valid argument. And it is true that Emil doesn't have an actual recording or anything that would show exactly the words that his dad said. But he doubled down on redirect. When the prosecution got back up and asked more questions, he doubled down on the idea of exactly the one unforgettable, absolutely most important thing that his dad said to him in those phone calls.
Is there any doubt in your mind about the defendant telling you who tried to kill Ariel?
No.
Emil's testimony is absolutely critical in this case, not just because of what he said, but because of who he is and his relationship to the defendant, Gerhard Konig.
Again, if you're the jury, that's going to be a tough one to get over. I don't know how the jury is going to look past that one when it comes to sentencing.
Who had no reason to get involved. And
or comes to the verdict, I should say. Verdict comes before sentencing.
Who now will not even call his father dad. He could be the tiebreaker. If the jury believes him, this case stops being just he said, she said. Now, there are two people against Gerhard Konig. The defense is trying to explain this away as misunderstanding, stress, bias. Assuming Gerhard Konig takes a stand, there's no doubt he will get into those issues. But for now, this is a very thorny problem for the defense. If that call happened the way Emil says it did, it's devastating. It's not, though, the only piece of evidence against Gerhard Konig. So stay tuned for more. Be sure to.
All right. Well, that's about it for today. I will reach out to, maybe I'll reach out to Leslie to do a stream/interview with her at some point. It would be probably pretty interesting. Christian John, I'll be talking to on Tuesday. I'll probably upload that the next day. I always have interesting conversations with Christian John. Only 142 likes, D. Man, I changed up the case, and the likes don't come flowing in like they used to. Leslie, well, I mean Lawyer Lee is what I mean. Leslie, someone in the chat. Lawyer Lee is who I would reach out to. Everyone should welcome, how do you say that? Cillian's Pride? Welcome to Cillian, or Sinalian. Speaking Spanish there, Maureen, eh? I see. Yes, but everyone who's still here, please make sure you remember to like the video. Leave your DNA in the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Coming up on 3 a.m. here on the East Coast time. Yes, and I would agree, Rooster. Flirting is not a good sign in any kind of healthy relationships. Deleted messages. They say deleted messages are one step away anyway, right? You know something's not good if you're deleting messages. So again, I think she definitely could have been having an emotional affair. Might have been a real affair. But that's not necessarily what's on trial in the case, right? The trial in the case is whether he attempted to kill her or not. That's a different story. Thank you, Maureen. It was just the father did not help himself in any way making that phone call. That was a terrible choice. Like leaning on the son like that, acting like the son is more mature than himself in that case. Yeah, that's terrible. Parentification is what they call that. You got it, Lindsay. Happy Good Friday to everyone indeed. You got it, Catherine and D, and Night Owl King. not to be confused with the Witch King, but it's really Night Owl Craig. I always think of it as Night Owl King. So if he's found guilty, he's found guilty of attempted murder. And I'm not sure what the sentencing would be. 10 to 20, maybe? It's not good. It's going to be hard for him to overcome it, Rooster. You got to admit. It's going to be hard for him to overcome it. I think he'd have a better shot at overcoming it if his defense lawyer sounded more confident, but he doesn't. So that's part of the problem. Where are they, Song Bits? We can check them out really quick. Yeah, 10 to 20, 15. Well, what's the name of the channel, Song Bits? We can't click on any links. We'll see. You got it, Em. These are live owls, but it's like a 5-hour stream, so. Shadow the Night Owl's cousins. All righty. We should go over and out from here. So, Lori, Song Bits. Thank you to Song Bits and Miss Kim for modding. That is true, Christy. Flirting's the start. So, Dana and George and Kat and Wendy and Christy and Maureen and Teresa and Night Owl Craig and No Hype and Rooster and Dee and Anne and Lindsay, Wendy, Dana, Jackie. Jackie fell asleep on us, but now we're watching some owls. But we're back, Jackie, but not for long. Autumn, everybody, thank you so much. That's right, Dee. All right, folks, we're closing it out on the owls here. Barred Owl Nest Cam. Where is this? Where is it? Arkansas Song Bits? Is that where this thing is? Greenville, South Carolina. Interesting. But all right, folks, we'll rock and roll here. Probably, Lindsay. You can thank Lindsay for the Shadow of the Night Owl as well. You have a good one, Michael. Good night, Cap. Pretty cool owl. That's right, Rooster. All right, everybody. You have a great night. It's time to rock and roll here. I'm getting tired myself. So, till tomorrow, folks. Over and out.